Coming from a galaxy near you, this is Brothers and Booze. And here are your hosts, Greg Washington and Doug Ziegler.
Well, hello, folks. Welcome to Brothers and Booze. How was that there, Lauren? What do you think of that?
I sometimes with these, I'm like, I'm not 100% sure what was going on. Also, that person at part 2 hit, I was like, wow, this person is much smaller than I realized. There wasn't a lot of scale at first, and big things come in small packages. Apparently,
because but was she the one that said I just want okra, or was that somebody else filming that said they just want okra?
I feel like that's got to be like filming narration. Like, I just wanted a snack, and I don't know what's happening.
And I couldn't hear what that woman was yelling about, so maybe she just wanted a snack too. Who knows?
That's true. Food solves a lot of anger.
Well, if you're hungry.
Yep, I got nothing. I think I need a translator of sorts. The emotion was there. There was definitely a language barrier, and I have no idea what was happening personally.
Yeah. I wonder if we need to start instituting like a Karen rating system. Like,
how would you even
Karen?
Where would you start with that? It's a multi-point scale.
Well, the thing is, she was just kind of being herself and not really harming anybody, even though she was making a lot of racket. So, and didn't seem like, from what I could tell, because I couldn't understand what she was saying, maybe she wasn't insulting anybody. I don't know.
That's true. Okay, so there's that volume is one level of the scale. Like individual versus interpersonal interaction levels part of the scale.
Yeah.
How many swear words per minute?
Yeah, but that's I don't know. That's something I think that we here at Brothers and Booze need to come up with, a Karen scale, like a sliding scale for what these ninnies do in public.
It's true. That might be on the scale of Karens, because like a Karen could still be a 1, but on the spectrum of Karen. Otherwise, they're all going to be like 8, 9, 10 forever.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Now Greg, our illustrious producer and co-host, is great at finding these things. And there's been some things that we've been on that just like, that's like, and we have to say it. What's funny is we always want to say like DEFCON 5, and it's always DEFCON 1. DEFCON 1's like the worst, but it feels like you should be saying DEFCON 5 is like the worst. But we've had some, yeah, that's true. She was kind of speaking in tongues. Maybe she thought she was at a fast food church.
Maybe.
I
mean, so I have been in moments where you're just at a level of excitement, anger, whatever high emotion, where your mouth is moving faster than your brain. Like your brain is trying to say stuff and your mouth isn't getting it out fast enough, and it just becomes a blur. Maybe that was happening too.
Maybe. The world will never know, as the commercial famously said back in the day. So, yeah.
We'll work on it.
What an opening. How about that? So
it kind of feels like it's a Friday. We made it through the week.
Yeah, thank goodness, right?
Yes.
I think we can always say that on a Friday, but some Fridays are more Fridays than others.
This is true.
This Friday is pretty special because we're starting off our season here, in that we have a season now with our friend who runs the 40 for 40 race. So we're going to start talking about that tonight. So what would you like to give us a little bit of a lowdown on that, Lauren, since you're a little bit more involved in that bit than I am?
we're all part of this. So 40
Yeah,
for
but
40.
but you do a lot more of the background stuff. I'm just there to dress dumb and act like an idiot. So.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Beverages will also help us with getting all the words out and acting like an idiot when we need to. I'll share what we're doing, what we're up to with that. Then we'll do some beverages, and then we'll bring on our guests if we're ready for that.
Yep.
But to prep everyone else before we get fully libationed, 40 for 40. It is an awesome, fun way to do something useful that our friend Roberto brought to the world last year. It was our first annual inaugural one, and we are back with year 2. What it is we are inviting people who are 40 years old or older, or young, 40 years of age and over, to run a 40-yard dash. And it is the 40 for 40 race for the ... because it is for charity, but we don't know which one, because it is kind of a inclusive invitation, because whoever's running gets to choose what charity they would like to support if they win. So you get to choose what's important to you, share with the world what that charity does. There's a GoFundMe for raising funds, because there's going to be like a jackpot, if you will, among winners for time, as well as most creative and most fun, because this is inclusive. Like, not everybody's fast. I have knee injuries. I am not the fastest, but you can be fun or creative, and it doesn't always have to be just for speed. There's a lot of ways to win in this world. Age doesn't matter, and we're here to have fun and prove that, I guess. And the race itself will happen later in September, on the 10th, which is a Sunday, and we are launching registration and the donations page and all that stuff. So that's what we've got going on, and why we're bringing on our friend Roberto today. And is he nearby?
Now, how about we do our drinks first? Because I kind of missed that step. So apologies, folks. That's usually my cue to go and say, what are we drinking? So how about, would you like me to go first? Because I have mine already.
Go for it. You go. I've been talking.
Yep. Can you push people? Sure, like a wheelbarrow. Let's do it.
Consensual, like, we don't want to get involved with anything.
That's very important. So I'm going to start tonight with an NA. This I got is the Athletic Right Pursuit, which is a lemon radler. So this I've had. It is excellent. It is like having lemonade almost, with a slight beer taste to it. Obviously has no booze, but man, it's super drinkable. And got my little Charles Gold glass, which was from another athletic beer that I got. So yeah, this is very good. I've had it before, but yeah. So what do you got?
I poured mine in preparation, but I haven't sipped it yet. But I have a La Morena by Sonoma Springs Brewery. It is a Mexican Negra lager, and it's pretty. I was like, can we say this? And I have had this before. I'm excited because it's very drinkable, but it's warm here. So I was like, generally go darker, but I can't because I might pass out. So cheers.
Cheers to you. Yeah, so we're going to, in a few moments here, we'll bring on Roberto, but we want to encourage people to sign up early, get your name in, figure out what charity you want to endorse if you win. Like I said, this race isn't just a race. It's, like I say, you could do something super creative, super funny, super weird. Like the weirder, the funnier, the better. If you're not a speed demon, I am not a speed demon. Last year I ran mine backwards and still beat a bunch of people who were going forward. So that was fun.
That was great. We really do got to make that bumper sticker or like something.
Yeah, like I beat you going backwards is a good one. So yeah. All right. So why don't we do a thing here where we bring our buddy in, Roberto, so that he can give us a little bit more lowdown on 40 for 40, as I'm sure we didn't quite do it as much justice as we should have. So without further ado, why don't we bring on our guy, Roberto Santiago. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, man. Why don't we start off with So before I forget, like I did at the beginning, what are you drinking?
I am going with an Anchor.
Oh,
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Anchor,
Anchor
man.
Brewing.
Current.
Yeah. Yeah, this shit's hard to find, even here in San Francisco, like in the Bay Area. And I don't know if that's part of the symptom or the cause, or if it's all intertwined. But I went out looking for these earlier today, and I had to hit a couple of different spots. So I've got a few different Anchor beers that I'll get into tonight, but this is the horribly labeled but original, just the steam.
Yeah, they did that rebranding. That rebranding did not work. Clearly.
Well, it's and I'm not a national marketing guy or a local marketing guy. I don't know. But this idea, like, I get that the branding didn't work. Like, it didn't like bring in new people, right? It didn't like hit like those like 21-year-olds, and they weren't like, oh my god, this might be a hard seltzer. Like, I'm going to try it. But I've been reading some articles, and there's like people are like, oh yeah, it drove people away. And you're like, the fuck, like, if I want to have an Anchor, I'm gonna have I don't care what the label looks like. Like, maybe because I've already had them, I know. But like, for people who already know what it is and like go to it and like it, there's no way the rebranding was like, heck, it looks like it's for kids now. I don't want to have anything to do with that. Like, pour it in a glass. Who cares? Like, anyway, I thought that aspect of the narrative is a little overblown.
Yeah, and I think that sort of thing matters if you're like a newer brewery, like some things like I remember when Greg and I went to Heavy Seas in Baltimore, they had just started to rebrand, and it was a big improvement because before the branding was very cartoony. It was like cartoony pirates, which I don't know. Maybe that works in somewhere else. They made some really good beers, but then they changed it to something that was a little more, I guess, adult. And I thought the rebrand was great. But for Anchor, everybody knows Anchor. Anchor's been around for fucking ever. So even if they rebrand, it's still Anchor. It'd be like if Sam Adams did a rebrand, you still know it's Sam Adams. I don't like. Of course, some people will be weird about it, but I don't know. I think that was much ado about nothing.
Yeah, it's like a what can we blame for failures feels like, because it's like the don't judge a book by its cover, right? So if you're newer, Doug's done this, I've done this, where you're like, oh, that can art's cool. And then you get it and you're like, it's okay, I might not get it again. But if it's something that you like and the label changes, you're like,
right,
I still like the beverage.
Do you know how many like Pepsi can rebrands I've gone through in my life? I'm old. Okay.
Yeah,
like
in the middle, there's a million.
Yeah, like Pepsi came in like a cardboard carton when I was a kid. Like, so it was lined with lead. That was
really
that's how
good for
Pepsi
you.
was. Yeah, that's how we got Pepsi back in the day. But yeah, like a rebrand like that isn't what did it. I don't know if it was the new owners or if it was the pandemic or if it was, there's a lot of reasons that are being given. I'm just sad because, like, I'll go like full degenerate, but like before I was like old enough to drink beer or even really interested in drinking beer, I knew I would have a future interest in drinking beer. And I was like, serious, like, I don't know. I was like 12 or 11 and I'm like, well, adults drink beer. I'll be an adult. I'll probably drink beer. Right. Like, I'll probably have a job too. I didn't have a job when I was 12. I knew I'd probably have one. But the old label and like the adults who I knew who drank Anchor, I was like, I'm definitely going to drink that when I'm an adult. Like that's on the list. Because the people who drank it when I was a kid were like, they were like San Francisco, like cool San Francisco people, but they weren't like, they were like chefs and stuff. They were like, like that level of people who like, you're like, what's a chef? Who's a chef? Like, you didn't know who a chef when you were a kid necessarily, right? But they're like, oh yeah, I work in this really fancy restaurant, and have all the deal, and then they're drinking Anchor Steam. You're like, well, shit, that guy seems pretty cool. Like,
that
I'm
must
gonna
be
have to
how
try
I
that.
also get cool.
Yeah.
Well, once I'm cool, then I can get it, right?
Oh, okay. That one
When I
comes
was a
first.
kid, when I was a kid, I thought you had to be cool first, and then
Oh
like,
man.
right? I wasn't like, I need to get some Nikes so that I can be cool. I was like, once I'm cool,
Then you're
then
allowed.
I can get the Nikes. I can get like Jordans, and people won't make fun of me for trying to be cool.
Like it was a
I'll
club that you had to like
Right,
earn
it's-
your way into first, and then you were allowed to buy the special gear.
Exactly. And what's funny is there's things like that in the world. We're on a whole tangent now, but
I know, but now it's
That's
like
okay.
what? Tell me what.
okay, but there's things like that in the world. So, for a long time with rugby refereeing, right?
Mhm.
To get like a referee jersey that had the crest on it, you had to get a national appointment, right? You couldn't buy a USA
Mhm.
Rugby referee's jersey, right? That, like if you had one of those, that meant that you had been on a national appointment of some kind, right? And that like so that was a big deal. And I would like when I was coming up as a referee, I would like get assignments like go pick up the national guy at the airport and bring him to the game. I go, oh, okay. So I do that. And usually when you're hosting a referee and you're kind of their little valet for the day, they give you something. Usually it's swag from another assignment or another society because we all have tons of jerseys and stuff. So you give them out when you go on exchange. And I remember this guy I picked up years ago in DC, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I want to give you a jersey." And he's like, "Oh, I can't. No, it's a USA one. I can't give you that." Like they were really like it was kind of a big deal. And then a few years ago, they opened up like a referee shop, and you could just buy them, and it kind of made it less cool. I refuse to buy them. I only get them if I get a cool assignment.
I
Yeah.
But
appreciate that.
because
There's
I still have
different
that
levels.
ethos. I still have that ethos
Yeah.
of like I have to be cool. I have to get to being cool. I have to get up there, and then I'll get the stuff. Right? I can't get the
Yeah.
stuff and then be cool.
I
So
mean,
you
yeah.
sort of like underpants gnomes that like the opposite. Like
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. What?
you don't know what the
Is that
do you
a
know-
phrase? You said that like that's just a phrase.
Is that
It
I
is.
am not in the know.
Anybody who's watched South Park understands the underpants gnomes thing.
I mean,
There's a
Okay,
whole
I
episode.
started
apparently not enough.
watching South Park in like 1996 or 8 or whenever it came out as a video Christmas card that was floating around the internet before it was on
Yep.
TV. That's my hipster moment, my San Francisco anchor steam hipster moment right there.
You're so cool. You totally earned your cool card with that.
Yeah. I had it on what were those like really hardcore floppy disks? It was like the first like super dense storage system.
The
They were
zip.
zip.
No.
No, it wasn't.
Zip?
Was it? It was
No.
a zip drive. It was a
Yeah,
zip
like a
drive. It wasn't
legit,
like a zip
like
file,
not a
but it was like-
digital zip drive, but like a
no, it was like a drive, and the
yeah.
discs were like you could line like they put them on the bottom of Humvees when they don't have enough armor. They're like that thick. And so like I had that first South Park demo thing that they did on a zip. It was amazing.
That's
Showed
a
all my
time
friends
capsule
on
moment.
my Macintosh clone that I got for like $1,200 when I graduated high school.
Yeah. So the underpants.
But yeah, I don't know what an
thing.
underpants gnome
Yeah,
is.
I need like to come back to that because I need an
South
explanation.
Park's still on. Like people are like, oh, did you see like The Simpsons last week? I'm like, no, ask me about The Simpsons in 1989 or whatever, and I can quote all of it, but I didn't see last week. So what's the underpants gnome?
So it was this episode where the underpants gnomes were these gnomes that would go and steal your underwear at night. And what they did was they said that they had this business plan, and they did a whole business plan. It said, step 1, collect underpants. Step 2, and it just shrugged, and then the 3 was profit. Like that. So it's like just nonsensical thing, but it's just so dumb. And the way you would. Not that what you said was dumb, but the way you went about the idea of like, well, I thought I had to be cool before I could get things. Like if you were cool, things would just be given to you like profit. So
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Okay.
and maybe not so much given, but then like I wouldn't feel out of place, right? Like
Yeah,
having
it's like
the
the
cool
get
thing.
cool question marks earn stuff.
Which I think was a big controversy that Pepsi had when the guy tried to get the Harrier jet from them. You guys see this documentary?
No, I saw it. I've not watched it, but I'm fascinated.
Coming
need
back
to.
around to Pepsi. Pepsi had this promotion: drink Pepsi, get stuff, right? And you collect
Yeah.
points. And you know, everyone's done it since then. Marlboro. My aunt
That's what I
had
was gonna
like
say, Marlboro.
my aunt had so much Marlboro swag from smoking like 8 packs a day. It was amazing.
Yeah, here, have some cancer. We'll give you a free jacket. It'd be great.
Oh yeah, well, and then of course she has all this stuff, and she's like giving it to the kids, and we're like, 10 years old, walking around with like the Marlboro leather jacket on. You want to talk about like the least cool thing ever. But yeah, so this kid found a loophole where you could just like write in and get points. Some like,
please, sir, can I have some more?
yeah. So he collected them, and the TV commercial was like 7 million points, and we'll give you like a fighter jet. So he collected, so he got 7 million points and was like, "Give me my fighter jet."
Where's my jet?
And it was like a whole lawsuit and everything.
I need to watch this. It's on That's on Netflix, right?
It's
Or
on
something?
Netflix.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
called like Pepsi.
I've
Where's
seen
my
it
jet or something like
show
that.
up, and I think I added it, but I have not watched it yet.
Yeah, Joe
Oh!
Camel. Joe Camel's another one.
There's the underpants gnomes.
There we go.
I like
That's
how there's a vibrator in the back.
That's
Yep.
a massager. That's a personal massager.
That is a
This
Hitachi,
is
sir.
just-
That is a Hitachi.
They sell
We all
that-
know what that's for.
They sell that. They sell that at Sharper Image.
Do
I'm
those still
sure they
exist?
do.
Sharper Image?
Maybe
don't know.
Brookstone went away. Was Brookstone the one that died?
No, I think Brookstone's still at the airport, and Sharper Image is gone.
But what about Sky Mall? Like, is that still around in the stupid airplane?
I haven't seen a Sky Mall in a while. I haven't
No, but
flown in a lot though.
I love Sky Mall.
Have you ever purchased from Sky Mall?
No, I've been so tempted though.
That shit
Like
was
you're
so
flipping
expensive.
through, and it's like $3 earrings, and then a $50,000 carousel, right?
Yeah,
They're
you're like-
horses that go up and down for your backyard. You're like, yeah, these things belong in a catalog together.
They go up and down,
Yeah, it's like
like the massager.
it's like
Yes.
Lillian Vernon and FAO Schwartz,
Oh
and you're
my
just
God,
like
Lillian.
put them together.
Okay. The anchor, whoever said that anchor of the streaming tangents is so real because man, I miss flipping through a catalog. Catalogs are okay, not inspirational in an inspirational sense, but like I don't know what I want. Show me something. And the targeted ads of now, not helpful. It's like, no, I just bought this. Why are you showing me 10 versions of the same thing I just bought?
The
or
whole
someone else
toilet
talked about
seat
it?
thing, right?
Yeah.
Naturally. But catalogs just like, here's stuff that we have. Do you want any of it? And I'm like, ooh, I didn't know I wanted this, but maybe I do. I like paper.
I still
don't
like
know.
getting catalogs. I still like, it's always fun, and it's so weird and intermittent because like we never say don't send us the catalog anymore. We don't always buy stuff, but we've never like opted out of a catalog. But like the Lego catalog comes when it wants to, right? Like it used to come every
Feels
month.
like it.
Yeah, and now it's like when they decide to print it, like they're very European about it. They're like, whatever, like the workers had December off, and so we printed we didn't have a catalog, their healthcare and shit. But yeah, or like any of those. I always look through them. The East Bay catalog.
Yep.
Yes, talk about things
Yeah.
I could never afford to buy when I had that catalog.
Like I played basketball and was like, ooh, I want all of this gear, and we'll never get any of it.
Although I will say I never showed up like at the court and saw someone like in one of those East Bay jerseys, right?
That's true. That is
Although
fair.
I feel like I should have had one since I lived in the East Bay. Like I felt like that probably would have been pretty cool.
Like of all the like branded gear to have, like that feels appropriate.
Yeah, there's only like a certain amount of people who live on the east side of any bay who can really say that that's what they should be repping.
That's true.
Right?
Cool.
Like I don't know if people on the east side of Green Bay are like East Bay, like the way that we are.
Yeah. Hey, can we backtrack a minute for a comment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, that's a personal massager, and I know because I used to roll through the Sharper Image all the time. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Just because I have a sharp remember things, Greg.
They just it was if it's sharper image, they probably just had it out, right? For everyone.
Oh
to-
yeah, that's what I
Sure
mean.
they
It was
did.
just like on a shelf. It was just like there was a rack of them.
a whole rack.
A rack.
Yes, yes, necessitating the use of a rack.
Oh goodness,
Zach.
this is true. Great.
I mean,
Greg
but you
shows
want to
up
talk,
when
but
needed.
the thing is, the lines are very blurry. Have you guys seen? I don't know if you guys go out to a lot of athletic events, but
I don't know
go
where
out
this
to
is
a lot-
going at all.
There's this gun that people use to like shoot, like hammer their quads and stuff and their calves. Right? It's just
Yes.
like it looks like a drill, but it's got like a rubber palm on it, and it doesn't spin. It goes pap 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 pap, pap like
Oh yeah.
Aggressive.
right. It's like when I was little, that was just the thing my grandma had with like the rubber ball on it and the metal bar, and you would like the shiatsu thing that my grandma would.
Oh, but now it's like
But now
got
it's
a
a
motor on it.
fucking
But now it's
now
not
it's
manual.
hardware. But that thing, like, I'm just gonna say, I'm not gonna suggest searching. I'm guessing that there's stuff out there with this thing because this thing looks like someone's kink for sure.
oh no.
It's a fine line.
Push your pelvis.
It's for muscles, Zach. It's not for
Not for bones, dude.
you can't whack out a bone bruise. I don't know what I just said. That was a terrible sentence.
Quick, someone say something else.
Also, Greg trying to backtrack there a little bit, but hey,
Just
we
full
know-
of
we know the
curiosity.
thing.
I get it. He just wanted
Okay.
to know.
Also this, and
Everyone needs one, don't they?
and this. Bring it for poor Aaron. He's ready. Man, we're on just like tangents galore tonight. This is great. This is
We
what I
haven't
love.
I
even-
was
we
like,
haven't
it's
even
only a
gotten-
half an hour in. Like, how are we here already?
We haven't even gotten into the race yet.
Why don't we
got
go there
we
a
got
bit?
a beginning part going, so we
Yeah,
covered
we did.
that.
Yes,
a
we
little.
did.
We did.
There's more.
Yes.
In good
guys covered it.
in good faith, we tried to start the show that way, and then we just you came in, and it was just like, you know what? Here we go.
Oh,
And
this,
that's how
this is my fault. is what
No,
you're
this is
saying.
all of us. This is all of us doing it because we all like the tangents, so that's what's fun. That's what makes it
It's a
fun.
catalyst situation.
I'm telling you. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I have to like go back to our prep document and find out what we were supposed to talk about.
I mean, anything.
Anything.
Hmm.
I mean,
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, John.
man, JG is coming in hot with the
Yeah,
wordplay today.
yeah, he's been punny all the whole show so far. So
I'm not as well practiced. Oh, thank you for the confirmation on which is which. Sharper image is gone.
Mhm.
Okay, Daniel, what did you actually buy? As
Yeah,
a child, I was like, the main things I was like, there's a giant massage chair and like Rush Hour game. Like that's
like
what I
Rush Hour
remember.
Rush Hour the movie had
No,
a game.
like,
Or
there's,
the
like-
movie, the game.
It's like a slide puzzle game called Rush Hour, and you like do
Oh, with the little car?
the red car,
Yeah, the red car.
and then you have to you set up it being trapped in Rush Hour, and you have to like have it escape. Like
Yes.
that's what because like
And then
that's
you
what
have
I would do when I went into that store. Was like I'd go play Rush Hour while I like waited until whoever I was shopping with was done. That's all I remember. But I need to know what how many
I've
what-
never been
what
in a
was-
sharper image, so
ever.
ever.
No,
I grew up in
I don't
rural
believe it.
Pennsylvania. We didn't have like
I
fancy
mean-
shit like that. So
They had the
Is
Amish
that-
version where everything was just made out of wood. It was like Ye Sharper Image.
sharper imagey, like the
Ye-
shop with
Ye
the
engraven
with the
images.
yeah,
PE.
but Shope like
Yeah.
OPPE.
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 You down with OPPE? All right. Before we go to the race, I would like to
Okay.
go to my second beer if we could.
Ooh, so fast. Ready.
Well, I had an NA. Those things go down
That's
great.
true. Very
for free to
drinkable.
drink. So I'm going to go with a California beer, actually, an oldie but a goodie.
Hey.
Lagunitas Maximus Colossal
Ooh.
IPA. So, yeah, and it's Robusticus Flavorcus for some reason. I don't know why that is, but okay,
Why not?
why not? So, let's give this a try. This is apparently like more in the lines of a double IPA. They call it a colossal. So pull out my fancy IPA glass. Ew. All right. Yeah. Doesn't smell too hoppy, at least, which that's not my thing.
Yeah, me neither. I have a hard time when it's like double. Oh,
Yeah, that's definitely more like a double IPA, which I actually don't mind double IPAs. I don't really like the triples or the standard IPAs too much,
okay.
with some exceptions. But this is like super drinkable. It's 9%, which is that's a lot for a beer that's an IPA, even if it's double. So, but that's the thing; it is very drinkable, so very crushable. So that could be dangerous. So I am going to be nursing that a bit, so I don't go over.
Take your time.
So yeah, we have doubles and triples. Has anyone gone for the massive quadruple IPA? Is that out there?
Well,
Like,
there's
is
some
that-
out there.
is that-
Quintuple? Like where
Where
has
where do you draw the line?
Well, I want to know, like, what's the event horizon? Like, at a certain point, do you just like break through and it becomes like scotch? Like what?
Yeah, like at what point
where-
is it a different alcohol?
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is my septuple IPA. It's amazing. It's 230% alcohol. It's actually inverted. It's made of dark matter, and you have to inhale it
And
Like-
then you spontaneously combust.
into
Maybe
floral hops and despair.
citrus. Those go together.
All right, so why don't we jump back into the race stuff so we can actually get a little bit into that before we get back to the fun stuff.
Before
Sure.
we
Yeah.
forget.
Well, it's funny because I'm very humble and also from a collectivist culture. So, you guys are like, oh, we're bringing up Roberto. This is his thing. It's his idea. Like, it wasn't even my idea. Like, let's be clear.
Well,
Like, it was an idea I stole from Twitter initially, and decided to do. It's like,
the doing is an important part.
the doing is an important part, and so I will take credit for some. I will take credit for some of the doing, because I did some of it. Basically, what I did, I was like, I want to do this, and then I went to you guys, and I was like, help me! I cannot do this on my own. And then y'all were so amazing and came up with so many like ideas and ways to make it easier to do that I had not come up with, that it wouldn't have happened without the three of you. That's for sure. So
Team
I
effort.
really think this is our thing, that we are doing together. Yeah, we probably wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't be doing it a second time if I didn't have all you guys like telling me like, hey, this is actually kind of fun and we should do this again. Right. Like if you guys were like, that was cool, and then never mentioned it, like, that would have been
We
it.
did have a good time, and immediately after we're like, we should do this again. And when we committed to it a year ago, so it's happening now.
So now it's happening. So I stole this idea from the internet from a guy named John Finkel, who's a writer, and he had said, a fitness nut, yep. And he had said, something offhand like, oh, it would be a great TV show if you got dads in their 40s running 40-yard dashes against each other. And I was like, yes, that would be hilarious. We should do that. And then I started talking to more people about it. And the more I realized, like, well, it shouldn't just be dads, and it shouldn't just be men, and it shouldn't just be parents, and it shouldn't just be people who can run, right? We got to like keep opening this up. We're still keeping it for people over 40 because that's the gimmick, right? I can't be out here racing 20-year-olds. I'm an old man.
No.
I could race Doug. That I can do.
Hey, and I'm an older man than you by a good many years. So.
Yeah, that's true. You'd probably old enough you would have babysat me when I was a little younger.
I maybe. Well, we were on opposite coasts, so maybe time.
But how old are you now, Doug?
I'll be 52 in September.
Okay, so yeah, you would have beat me up when I was in middle school.
52.
That's what you would have done.
God, that sounds terrible to say. 52. All right. Anyway.
Well, Just another aside, my kids have me convinced that I'm a year older than I actually am because they keep telling people that's how old I am, and now I'm confused.
You're like, wait, I need to do math.
Oh, well, I looked back at the 40 for 40 post, my 40 for 40
before.
bio from last year, and I was like, yeah, I was
Wait.
45 last year. I'm not 47 now. That's not how time works. Also, somehow Facebook put out, I don't know what I clicked or got hacked or I don't know what happened, but Facebook told everybody that my birthday was like June 6th. And so June 6th, I started getting all these like congratulatory, like happy birthday posts. And I went to the referee banquet, and the president of the referee society was like, stood up at the podium and he's like, we've had a lot of fun today. We've, celebrated a lot of our referees, but only one has a birthday today. And I'm like, it's not my birthday. And they all sang. I'm like, it's not my birthday. It's not my birthday. And then like a month later, he sends me a text. He's like, it seems like your birthday's not. I was like, I was trying to tell you that, bro. Like Facebook, like is trying to make me, along with my children, is trying to make me age much more rapidly.
Question: how off? When is your what month? Like when is your actual birthday? Like how?
January.
Off?
It was off by like
a lot,
almost exactly 6 months. Like 6 months and a week off or so. I don't know.
It was your half. It was a half birthday.
It was a half birthday, but I don't honestly like. I'm old enough. I don't need the ref society thinking I'm even older and being like,
you'll be like 46 and a half and 3/4. It matters.
Yeah. So yes, they do. In this case, at least.
We do. We run for fun. We run for fun.
I also let me chime in to who was that, Chris? Not everybody runs for fun. I hate running. But you could do a 40-yard distance in a fun fashion. So honestly, skipping, very hard. Also, not a lot of people remember how to do that apparently. But skipping, challenging. Also, you could skip a 40-yard. It's a 40-yard skip instead of a dash, I guess. Side tangent, because that's the theme tonight. In high school, there was like PE, and they were like the run day where like everyone's gonna run for like 20 minutes, or you have to run the mile. Like that's what's happening in PE that day. And there was a PE teacher who would give people the chance to skip a 400, and if they could do it in under 2 minutes, they didn't have to run that day. And it's so hard. But
skip a 400 or 40?
Yes. Skip a 400 for the PE thing. Was skip a 400, and I think it was like the limit was like if you could do it in under 2 minutes, you could skip if you could do that, you didn't have to like run the 20 minutes or the mile or whatever was the run thing that day. But it's very, very hard to do because you like skipping is not propelling you forward very much. So it is a challenge.
It is if you really, you could really get into some skipping.
Yeah, like I would love to see some skipping or galloping or prancing. You could roll a 40 should you want. Backflips. You could try to be like a worm. You could. Oh my god, I would love to see you did like a dance worm.
You could walk backwards while drinking a 40.
Yes, we could like how 40 for 40 could you make? You can make a 40 for 40 with a 40. What other 40 things can we throw in there? Get creative.
Yeah.
Propel yourself forward for 40 yards.
That's really what this is. We're calling it a 40-yard dash, but it really is propel yourself. You could be carried in a litter. You could pop a wheelie in a wheelchair and like go through. You could, there's a lot of things you could do because we want to make sure that this is open to everyone, right? So
I would say not like self-propel, like don't hop in your car and drive 40 yards. Like that's not the same.
You could. You probably won't win.
True. Depending on what the goals are. But you could totally submit that, like register, do it. It'd be fun to watch. But if you're going for time or creativity, like those are the avenues for being able to win and get your charity some money.
Exactly. So and I think that this is a good segue back. It's like I feel like we're like in like Loki or something. We're just like trying to branch back to the original timeline here. And we're like, how many tangents can we have? and then we have to kill them all and bring them back to the main timeline.
Aggressive.
So yeah, so a couple of questions and a couple of things. So the goal is to have fun and to raise money for charity. And so, we don't want people who aren't like sprinters or not hardcore runners to feel like they can't participate. So we introduced other categories. So there's kind of like the main, like, I'm going to try to sprint and run as fast as I can category. And then there's also just like creative or funny or, interesting runs, right? And so those folks, that's also a category. So those folks can also win money for their charity. You can also win by doing that, right? And also, not everyone is like fully bipedally ambulatory, and we want those folks to be able to participate too. So yeah, definitely open to everyone. There was a question there that said like, where is this? And that's the other fun thing about this, is that this is a virtual event. It's hybrid. It's like most of the college classes I'm involved in. Yeah, it's like my work schedule. It's hybrid. So there's several ways to participate. You can, what we would hope. So this is all done on a live stream. And so what we would love to have is to have you come on wherever you are. Basically, if you register, you'll then tell us what time on that day you want to do your run. And you'll basically need 3 things. You'll need yourself. Well, 4 things, I guess. You'll need 40 yards. You'll need to have measured out 40 yards somehow. You'll need someone who can film you, right, on like a phone or whatever. And you'll need someone to keep time, right? And the filmer and the timekeeper probably shouldn't be the same person. But if you kind of get that, you could put a phone on a tripod, right? That could be your filmer. Like there's, you don't need to, you'll figure it out. But you tell us what time you run, and we'll bring you on the live stream at that time. And our wonderful hosts will interview you, kind of like you do at a sporting event. Hey, right before, right? Hey, who are you? What do you do? What's your charity? You'll run your race. We'll do a post-game interview, and then we'll probably do some nonsense, and we'll show the next person. We'll record your time on the big board, the virtual big board. But if you're not available that day and you still want to run and participate, you can record your run and send it to us, and we will play it during the stream. And then the other thing you can do is you can get together with a bunch of people in your area, and you can all run your heats, one after another as part of the show, as part of the stream. So there's lots of ways to participate. So it's wherever you are. You can jump in and you can do your run. And if you do pre-record, you can do you can get someone to interview. You can interview yourself. Hey, I'm Joe and I'm running for this charity. And, I've never run more than 20 feet in my life. And, that's it. Oh, eat 40 hot dogs, 1 hot dog per yard.
Again,
that would be
creative.
Really impressive.
That would take 20 minutes, but it's an impressive, it's a great idea.
It's true. We might have to if you're going with us live, that might be a show the start and cut away for a little bit, come back, see how it's going. But we are open to all kinds of anyone who wants to be involved. We're happy to figure it out. If you're planning now, because it's a couple months out, recording, you have many opportunities. You could record it tomorrow if you wanted to, or more than once if you're like, that one was bad. But if you're going to do it live with us, I believe, we have not fully established this, but last year what we ended up doing was, I think we started around 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern-ish, and went for a few hours. So there's those are sort of some time frames. Because it might be
don't hold us to that.
It's true. Don't hold us to that, but it is we want to make it work for people. And if you can be live, that'd be great. I know we haven't said when it's happening yet, but if you can't, we also accept pre-recorded things.
Yeah, but we'll let everybody know in the stream and even in the
you will know ahead of time.
Group.
And it's for charity, so it's the honor system, right? Like we're not. You don't send us a sped up video and whatever nonsense. Everyone was great last year, especially some of the great ones from last year, like Kel, running through a meadow, being on screen and then disappearing, and then it was 40 yards, but it was a winding through the meadow 40
emerging
yards with
through
a
like tall
dog.
grass
Yes.
flowers.
That was amazing. Doug ran backwards, which was very unexpected.
Yeah, because I did the camera looking like I was like facing the camera, and it was really
Ready to
close.
go.
And then I ran backwards. So yeah,
It was
that
unexpected.
fun.
It was great.
Yeah.
We also, I think it was. Oh, go ahead, Doug.
I was just going to say I also ran faster backwards than a lot of folks did forward. So I want to keep that as like that's like my crowning achievement from last year.
So how come? So on Twitter today, someone said like, "What is your niche accomplishment?" And that's not it. You chose.
Oh,
reading
that
a
was
dad
Amanda.
too?
That was Amanda Diver, who we've had on the show twice. Yeah,
Yeah, but you chose dad too. You chose like this heartfelt thing, but I feel like that's not as niche as running backwards faster than some people run forwards on a pre-recorded live stream for a charity event watched by dozens of folks.
Dozens. Sorry.
Hey, double digits, man.
Yeah, no, that stupid meme where it's like there's dozens of us. Dozens.
Oh.
That's what I was doing. Sorry. Oh, so
yeah.
Anything else? Because we need to get back to some more silliness if we haven't, unless we have anything else.
So the just the whole thing, and so now Lauren mentioned we haven't said when it is, so we should probably mention that. And it was it's going to be September 10th, and it was September 10th
Sunday.
last year. That is a Sunday. Last year was a Saturday. This year it's a Sunday, which I chose because, like many of my charity efforts and things that I do, it kind of ties into my mom. That was my mom's birthday. And she passed away in 2007. And so when I was kind of first planning this last year and I was looking like for a plausible date, September 10th just jumped out at me. And so like many of the things that I kind of engage in, I throw a little shout out to mom in there.
That's sweet. We do
something nice for Roberto's mom and join us for this race.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, or donate.
Or donate. You do not have to actively propel yourself.
So here's the donation. Here's the donation bit. Okay, is you, the donor, you're gonna donate, and you can go to the blog post page where I'll be posting the runner profiles, and you'll see who they are and what their sort of athletic background is and what their charity is, and your donation. In your donation, you're going to pick who you think is going to win. And if you're right, you will also get money for your charity. You'll go into a pool. So like if I were to win and 15 people chose me, then we would choose one of those 15 people who would also get to choose to have money donated to their charity. So you as a donor, you're also making a prediction. And if your prediction comes out right, you have a chance to send money to a charity of your choice as well. So we're trying to spread this out to as many charities as possible. Last year we had almost $1,400, so I'm hoping we can get more this year. And someone else said they like the shirt. This is not my design. I believe that Lauren, is this your design?
Greg and Lauren combo situation.
It's a Glorin original.
Glorin combo.
This is a Glorin original.
The original mashup.
That's right.
But we do have a link for merch.
We have a link for merch. So you can also get 40 for 40 merch, and the profits, the proceeds from the merch goes into the pot. So
we'll get links for this stuff in places to be able to be found, and we'll be talking about this leading up to the date because we've got 2 months. So we'll be back to talk about it, but you can get the merch, you can donate, you can sign up to Propel Yourself 40 yards, which is different from feet. But yes, there are links for all of these things and a little bit more of the backstory.
Hashtag 40 for 40 race.
And then there's
oh yes, there we go.
That was me trying to do like a 70s sportscaster vibe there last year. So
yes, we take ourselves very seriously, as you can tell. So please join us for this special sports broadcast in September.
Mm-hmm. So I already think I have in mind what I'll be doing for that. So
there's so much. Oh my God, I don't know. I have to think about it.
I just need to stay ahead of Finkel. That's my whole thing. Like win, lose, or draw.
Is he gonna run it this year?
I don't know. So I haven't started to bug people yet. Right. I just kind of
launching is now. It's happening.
Right. I've posted if you go to, at Berto in public on Twitter, that is Doug's.
You can get it at
personal
Sharper
massager.
Image. There's a whole rack.
There's a whole rack of them.
That's the first time I've ever heard a Blue Yeti called a called a massager.
Yeah,
but all right.
Blue Yeti.
You mean this one right here?
Yeah, that's definitely a vibrator brand. Blue Yeti. Goodness, you get the old Blue Yeti. Give her the Blue Yeti. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Say no more. Say no more.
Okay.
But you can find the info hashtag 40 for 40 race if you're still on the death knell of twitter.com. And there's lots of links there. But yeah, it's good times. We'll push out more, and I will start personally bugging people. For example, I have some friends who steadfastly refused to race last year, who I will probably more privately poke to try to join me this year.
It's going to be great. It's a whole community affair of fun.
So all right, hold on. All right, there we go. Sorry, I was typing something out. Anyway, so why don't we, now that we got some of the race stuff, and like I said, folks, keep coming back to the stream. Berto will have his stuff online and his social media. We'll make sure we get it out
Follow
too. So you can...
that. That's where the YouTube is where it will be live streamed, and other things will show up there as well. So follow us, and we'll push it, and follow that, and you'll see things.
The comments are going a little haywire over there, but that's fun. So why don't we do some fun stuff with some choices, or well, actually a little graphic here. So,
okay.
So, Berto, talk to us about this. I thought we were doing a different graphic because I forgot. That's my fault. So that's not a choice. That is about something that came through but I want to talk a bit about this because it's not just Missouri that this is a thing, right? You know how it is. If it's in one place, all these ninnies that like that stuff will push it elsewhere. So please give us your dad-centric take on this stuff.
I wish a motherfucker would. That's my first take. I just watched Dazed and Confused, so I know you actually got to put some holes in that if you really want to get good, like less wind resistance and a nice frightening whistling sound. But no, I wish anyone out there in the world would hit my kid, because then they can find out. Like, I don't actually wish that they would, because that would be devastating. I'll tell her. Well, geez, I guess
yeah.
I'll tell a hypothetical story, since there may or may not be like legal reasons to not say things, but I'm going to try this. All right. Hypothetically, there was a school district in a state where there were teachers who were found to be hitting and pinching and kicking children. And, in that hypothetical world, yeah, I had some very strong words with people that could potentially have involved a lot of threats. And then later on, people got paid money for things that may or may not have happened. Anyway, the point is, at this point in my life, I am not having anybody hitting my kids. And I don't think anyone should be hitting any kids. Like, let's start there. I shouldn't be hitting my kids. No one should be hitting any kids. Kids should not be hit. There's tons of research on this, right? We know this. You don't hit kids. It doesn't help. It doesn't get the result that you think it does. Whatever result you think you're getting, whatever like positive you think you're getting out of it, you're not really, right? So that's very clear. But someone else deciding they're hitting my kids, like, that's a big nope. And I would then be in the principal's office with my own paddle and probably holding off the SWAT team. I don't know. That's rough. I'm not into that.
Nah. I will say, as a person of a certain age, that was very commonplace in my school, for like hitting with paddles and
In school.
corporal. Yeah, like I said, rural Pennsylvania in the 80s, my friends. That was common. There was a guy, like a lot of them had paddles and they had them named like the Punisher and shit like that. There was some real dark shit. And one of them, that was one of the teachers, had a paddle that had holes drilled in it for less wind resistance, so it could hit you harder.
Real? It's real.
Yeah, yeah, that happened, and that happened to me once. And it was, as usual, it was something where somebody did something and I retaliated and I got caught. I was a retaliating party. So, yeah, so it's not all that far removed. It's one of those things we think that's way, way, way in the past, and it's really not that far back that people used to regularly beat your kids in school. That was the classic stories of the nuns like cracking the knuckles of kids in class and like hitting them. And
Well, they used to do that at the deaf schools if they caught kids using sign language.
Yeah,
They'd hit them on the hands with the rulers.
yeah. It's fucked up, and it's fucked up that there are people that want to go back to that they believe that beating the shit out of people, like kids, is the way to get them to obey. But we have the whole. I'm going to harken back to the cult bar just a moment, because we talked about the Shiny Happy People documentary, and like big part of that is their teaching is like spare the rod and spoil the child, or something like that, where basically they teach you to beat the shit out of your kids in ways that the police won't know that you're beating your kids. And that's still a practice they use today in their house.
Towel full of oranges. That's how you do it.
Yeah. So it's just fucked up. And then, yeah, I did bring that shit up, Greg or Zach, Siri, excuse me. So it is dark stuff, but it's something that we also talk about this stuff sometimes because that's serious shit. And it just kind of harkens back to all the other stuff we're talking about with all the other things, the way things are going backwards in some states, and how we have to really guard against that and fight against that. So sorry to get serious, but I think sometimes we need to talk about that stuff. Lauren, why don't you give us some perspective there? You look kind of stunned.
I mean, I'll just go with like the point that you brought up where like I feel like the whatever generation that I'm in, there is this thing that some stuff feels very far away because they're like, oh, like you learned it in history books and all the pictures are in black and white and like you didn't experience it, but then like it comes back and you're like, oh, that's like so weird that one place is bringing that like is having whatever happened when that happened so long ago, and haven't we learned since then? But we hope that we have. But it's one of those, like with so many things in workplaces, in our country, in our neighborhoods, like everything's kind of like lowest common denominator, if you will. Like if it's like if you're saying it's fine there, you're saying it's fine, like and which is not fine. And I don't love it. It's weird to me because like I personally like this is not. I haven't experienced it, which doesn't mean that it hasn't happened, but it does feel far away from me in just timeline and then now like geographical distance, but that doesn't mean that it's okay. So like, no, thank you. I would like to say no.
I would like to agree with you there, but unfortunately that is something that people are trying to bring back, and it sucks because it's like they're trying to take us back in a lot of different ways, and this is not the way to go.
Yeah. So, just, I don't know. There's too much with other people too many people trying to make choices for other people.
I know that the people yelling at, I know that the people that are yelling about you're taking away their choice, and they're the ones trying to take away the choice for other people.
Yeah. Like it feels so happy, but I'm just like, can't we all just exist and get along and let people do whatever they want as long as they're not hurting other people? But that is clearly hurting other people, which those kids and families don't have choice in because it's at school. Ugh, I don't want it. I don't like it.
Yeah, it reminds me of the thing is you would see in like they would talk about like the neighborhood, like if you acted up and some neighbor would grab that kid and say, I'm taking you to your parents, and like physically drag them Like that shit happened. Like it was like, and they saw that as a good thing, like a communal thing that everybody, you know, they saw that as like it takes a village. And you'd have some people just grabbing some kid by an arm, just dragging them up the street to their parents so they would get their ass whipped by their parents for doing some shit that neighbor didn't approve of, whether that parent approved of it or not. But they kind of had to pull through that whole shit. This whole going back to all that, fuck going back. There's a reason we went forward. So let's not fucking go back to the shit that didn't work. Like, and yeah.
Make good choices. Should we talk about more fun other choices?
Well, actually, another thing that we should have touched upon earlier is it's not with 40 for 40, but I want to talk a bit about Berto's work with Be Momentous, which is a new thing that has been started, and to hear his take on how that's been going a little bit, if we could discuss that a smidge. Yeah, and you're muted. There we go.
Hey, all right. I also have a second beer.
Oh, yes. Another anchor.
It's another anchor. It's which way to turn it? There we go. It's California Lager.
I don't think I've ever had that from them.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I like it. It's it's a very typical lager, but it's well done, and it comes in a jaunty green label that is going to attract the millennials, or not.
Jaunty is such a good word. It is not a word that is used enough, I don't think. So very good choice of words there, sir.
Yeah, I like to wear my hats at a jaunty angle. That's no, yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Be Momentous, just because, you know, a lot of the time we end up having like the Gish audience joins when we're on here together. And it's funny, like my work with sounds so overblown, which is a really funny thing that, you know, I think, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but like, it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting experience to be associated with something that you don't actually do any work to make successful. Right?
So you're like a CEO.
Well, yeah, exactly. There you go. I'm the CEO. No, but like I experienced this with Gish and a little bit now, and I mostly wanted to talk about it just because, you know, that audience is out there, and I hope that they know what Charlie's doing with this, because I think it's super cool.
Explain it.
Okay, I will explain it. I'll explain a little bit of the history, and just again, like my own like I always like I said, collectivist culture. I like to be really clear with people about like what I do and don't do, right? And being involved with Gish was a really interesting experience, because after doing it for I don't know if it was a year or 2 years or however long it was, but like people would start to associate me with like the product, right? Because I was on the stream, and for people who don't know, I'm a sign language interpreter, and I would do sign language interpreting for these streams. And Gish was the greatest international scavenger hunt, and it was basically like a massive, you know, the years I was involved, it was like a massive arts and crafts mayhem week.
Sounds so fun.
and there would be a list with like 200 items, and obviously no one can do all of them, so people would get teams, and no team can do all of them, so you'd kind of pick the ones you want to do. And it would be like, you know, create a picture of this actor on denim using mustard. And it was like people come up with these amazing, like these Gishers were just the most amazing, creative, artistic people. It was fantastic. And then in between, like once a day during that week, or during the weekend when they did little ones, or a few times a day. What? Oh my God, that's amazing. Someone.
Here goes Zach.
It's an awesome career. And I have a little story about that later. But
We'll remember.
But so then in between battles where Darth Vader could go and get something. No, sorry. In between, to break up the day, to break up the week, they would have these 1 hour typically 1 hour little workshops, and some celebrity or some like super knowledgeable person would come on and teach a class for an hour, and everyone who's registered for the hunt could just log into this Zoom and watch, like, I don't know, some actor teach you how to make homemade Pop-Tarts, right?
That's fun.
Right. It was fun. It was awesome, especially because like when I started doing it with Charlie was during, the stay at home period when we were all not going anywhere. And so like doing these things over Zoom became like super important, like a way for people to connect. And so I did that for whatever many years, but it was funny because then people would start to associate me with it in a way that like was really like too much, because what I want the world to understand is like there was this whole team of people who were like doing the planning and doing the execution and behind the scenes and setting things up and doing all this. And I would basically just show up on the day of the stream like I do for this, right? Like you guys do all this like other work and make graphics and all this stuff. And I would just show up and I would like, oh, do my little sign language, and I would be done. And so like all those people who do the behind the scenes stuff, like didn't always, I think, people don't know who they are, right? That's what
Right.
behind the scenes means, right? People don't know, and like they didn't roll credits at the end. And Charlie's always really good about thanking people and everything, but like, and I think a lot of people don't want to be out front, right? They want to be, but the point is, my involvement was like people thought it was more than it was, right? I was that jerk on your D3 rugby game who never came to practice and just showed up on Saturdays. Like that was really my role. Right? Because I was like, coach will put me in, I'm good. Right. So yeah. So it's the same thing with View Momentous. Like it's this whole thing that like Charlie and a bunch of other people actually create and do. Right. And then I occasionally get to show up on Saturday and like, woo, for an hour and have fun with it. But I kind of wanted to talk about it because I feel like, so Gish ended, right?
Uh-huh.
And then Charlie, being the awesome creative dynamo that he is, took some things that people really enjoyed and created this new what they call a next experience. I have to put the T in there because that's how it's spelled.
That's hard.
And it's a cool thing where he brings in people, celebrities and other knowledgeable people to come in and teach a class on something they know really well. And so I'll give an example. This was like how they produced this was such a technological marvel to me. They had Emily Swallow, who plays the armorer on
The Witcher. It's The Witcher.
No, it's
Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian. Thank
Okay,
you. I was
sorry.
losing it for. She might be on The Witcher. I don't know. She not. She does.
No. You know what? I'm weirdly mixing up The Witcher and A Knight's Tale because there was a lady who made the armor in A Knight's Tale, and I don't know why my brain went there. Apologies.
But her character is actually called the Armorer, which is another word I can't say. It's like saying
Also a challenging word.
Rural
It's like
juror.
drawer when I think about it too hard.
Well, yeah, Chester drawers. Chester drawers. It's in a Chester drawers. Yeah, the
like
Armorer.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. She plays the Worcestershire on the Mandalorian. So to do this, she actually went to like. So then there's also like, there's people who you watch all these shows, The Witcher and all that. Like someone actually makes all those swords, right? Like a lot of those are just they're swords, right? Someone's got to think about all the prop swords that have to be made for the world. There's people who do that, right? They're behind the scenes. We don't know who they are. But she actually went to the place where the guy is, the little team that makes the weapons for the Mandalorian, and she worked in the blacksmith shop off and on to learn how to like be a credible armorer.
Naturally.
Yes. And so Charlie set this thing up where they actually went down to this forgery. I don't know what you call it, place with forges. But actually went down there with the guy who makes the stuff and Emily, who plays the person who makes the stuff and who also occasionally helps make the stuff. And they did it like a cooking show, right? Where like they're like, we're going to show you
Cool.
how to make a Beskar spear. Like, here's some metal. And they went through how they like chose the metal and how it was a whole thing. But they were basically like, here's some metal, here's the first step. And they did the first step and they were like, but that actually takes like 3 hours. So like, here's what it looks like after we're done doing that.
Magic.
Right. And like, just like, you know, and they're like, I'm going to put my quiche in. It's an hour show. So now look, here's my quiche. Like it was
When it's
kind of that
done.
kind of, right. So they kind of went through each step. But the crazy thing is it's like super loud in there because they have these like big machines, right? That like
Right.
if you tried to use that to
Smashing metal.
pound out like a muscle in your leg, it would just destroy your leg. Like it's way more hardcore than that thing we were talking about earlier. But they got the audio right. Like you could hear the people talking and then they would show the thing and it wasn't like
Dope. That's such an underrated skill, by the way. Audio, sound engineering.
On a stream
Yeah.
in a blacksmith shop, like I was so impressed with how it was. But like for me, like I'm a total Star Wars guy, like just like being able to like be involved with that was just like super amazing and cool. And then like Charlie, like and his team, they came up with this idea of like having like a front row of people, right? So you know, you pay a little bump or something, I don't know, you get in the front row and then you get to do a little more interaction like during the stream, and then you can do a meet and greet after. And so like it's just this really cool like series of classes that take sort of a part of what Charlie was doing previously and then like bringing it forward. And it's really like I'm excited to play my small part in it, you know.
That's kind of cool. Okay, so just because you had brought this up and I was like, I don't really know what that is. And I did a bad job at research. So I'm going to ask you because I bet other people don't know either. So Be Momentous is the like thing, the organization that you would look up. And what they do is host these cool one-off class, random, weird, but cool experiences just periodically, I guess.
Yeah, it's roughly monthly.
So far, I guess it's newer, right?
But like some of the things they had an actress named Sam Smith teaching a knitting class, and she's going to do a couple more so people can learn to knit. Right, that's cool. They had so I don't know if you got a lot of Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah, Our Flag Means Death is great. He was great
folks
on
out
it.
there. So Samba Shoot came on. And apparently there's like this, you know, behind the scenes story where like he made this dessert for everyone's birthday, like as they were filming, like people in the cast, people in the crew, people he met on the street, whatever. Like he made this like chocolate torte or something, a dessert for them. So he came on for an hour and did a cooking show and he taught everyone how to make like Samba Shoot's backstage chocolate torte. So that was really cool. Like they've done some ASL classes. They did one ASL class. I don't know if they'll do more. But like they've had like a bunch of it's like fun stuff, right? So like, you know, you want to learn how to bake a torte from one of the because he plays the cook on Our Flag Means Death, right? So
I like it. It's like a celebrity / lay people version of like that masterclass thing where it's like you're learning very specific things from like people who like that's their main profession for all kinds of stuff.
Right.
But it's like less masterclass.
But instead of learning acting from Gary Oldman, you're learning like carpentry from Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're not learning the thing they're necessarily a master in, but you're like, what's one of your favorite celebrities' hobby? They're going to teach like something they're really good at. Right. So it's like if me, like instead of teaching interpreting, if I taught you a refereeing course, right? That's my that's my hobby.
Yeah, like you're not unexpected teaching topic.
Right.
Ooh.
Right.
That's cool that you guys that Charlie came up with that or collaborated to make that idea, however it came to be. So it's continuing stuff like that because you know there's a thing that's fun and interesting and it's good to have that sort of stuff because goodness knows we have enough doom scrolling we can do. So you know it's nice to have stuff that isn't so doomy.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So one they have coming up, I don't know when it is, but one that's coming up is I think Vico Ortiz is teaching knife fighting.
Vico, that's great. That's great.
So that's really
Trust-
cool. There's some swag that goes along with that. Like there's a company called Stans that does these like celebrity collaboration merch fun things. And I actually got some stuff for my kids because Vico's is assigned knives at birth. And so I don't know if people know Vico. Vico is a trans actor who plays it like a trans character on the show. And so this idea of like assigned knives at birth, like being sort of transgender and a little dangerous, like is very appealing to me and my little transgender kids.
Yeah.
We're not so little anymore, right? My oldest is going to be in high school next year,
That's
which
throwing you for
is
a loop.
freaking me out. So they graduated 8th grade and they're like, I'm officially a high schooler. And I was like, you're not officially a high schooler until September. No, Dad,
Haven't
I'm officially a
started
high
yet.
schooler. I was like, no, because I'm not officially the parent of a high schooler until September. Because I'm not ready to be that old.
Would you like like me to tell you how old my kids are? Because I have a kid that's turning 1 that just moved out to Colorado and done with college. I have another one that's starting college. I have another like 2 that just graduated high school this year, and then I have a 16-year-old. That's the youngest. So
That's like 8 kids, Doug. Wait, go back. How many kids do you have?
We have 4. Remember, we're a blended family.
Well, right. But you still you were like 1 graduated college, another 1 graduated college, 2 graduated high school, 1 16. You just threw out 5 kids.
No, 4 because I'll explain. Because one
Okay.
of my kids graduated with an associate's degree from college and high school at the same time.
Baller.
Because they are an overachiever. So yeah, and one of my other kids graduated high school, and like I said, my oldest just graduated college and moving out to Colorado with his fiance. So they're making a go. That's 4.
And the 16-year-old.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Doug. Okay.
I'm not lying to you. I don't want any more kids. 4 is plenty. I'm good there.
I can't afford to have any more kids. But
I feel that way, and I have 0.
well, yeah, you're living in the Bay Area where the poverty line is for a single person is $100,000 a year.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone. I was like, I can't. I don't have space in my home or money.
I said for a long time though, if I won like Powerball is like $750 million right now. So like, if I won Powerball, I would have more kids. I love having kids. I love parenting, and the whole thing is great. There's aspects of it that are rough, but
okay. I don't. We don't have to get into what are some of the roughest parts, because like for me, I was like, kids. I worked with kids for like a decade. I've enjoyed kids around me. I know it's different when they're like yours and they don't leave. I know that's different.
Yeah, it is.
However, like nothing about pregnancy, labor, or like new baby sounds fun to me personally.
So I don't have to do any of that.
It's
so
easier.
That's part of it. Yeah. Like I don't have to do any of that first part. So that's the good.
That's a difference.
Easy. My wife enjoys being pregnant so much she was thinking about doing it for other people. So that
I mean, that's very helpful.
Yeah. And right, but the newborns, yeah, there's the sleep thing and the this and the that, but like they're so cute. But like I don't want to have puppies. Like puppies peeing like on my floor everywhere like seems atrocious. But I'll have
babies do that sort of too, don't they?
But it's a baby. Like then it's cute and it's a baby and it's yours.
Puppies are cute.
Confession time. Not that babies aren't cute. I was like, I don't think I've held a newborn or newish born since I was like 2 and people sat me down and put my sister on my lap as a child. I have had some kids around me and I'm like, other people are way more excited. It's cool. And I haven't avoided it specifically, but I have not sought it out.
The world also just needs people who don't want to have kids, because if everyone wanted to have kids, there'd be too many.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
everyone.
It's like community service, really.
I'm doing my best. I have heard I don't know enough of the stat or the fact or whatever, but something where it's like not having kids does help because like climate change and carbon footprints. I was like, I'm just gonna keep that to myself. It's fine.
Absolutely.
They're cool though. I'll help other people with theirs.
And great. I'm putting you down. Next time I need babysitting, call Lauren.
Much easier when I don't have, if they are toddler and above, let's do it. I like to interact.
Yeah, enjoy this. This is a true statement, Lauren, unfortunately.
Oh, I had my little brother peed directly into my eyeball because I was not fast enough to dodge. I'm changing this kid. I was like 13 years old. I'm changing this kid, and no one warned me. No one told me about like you got to take one off and throw one on, right? Because that's the move.
It was just like you just got to learn situation.
You got to put one on. So I'm trying to change him, and I I throw the other diaper away, and I turn, and it just pow right, like not just like in the eye, like a close, like in the eyeball, like
actually it was open.
Like, oh yeah, no, it was probably because I was like saw it coming. I was like shocked.
Like, oh my god! Like, no, close everything. Don't.
Yeah,
you need safety goggles.
Yeah,
maybe
you just got to take one off, throw one on. That
is also a thing I'm gonna have.
Then you throw it away. You don't do
one and then the other. It's like a whole multitasking situation.
Yeah, you got to have that other one basically in your hand before you take the other one off.
Again, like things like this where I'm like, this is also like, see, that doesn't seem fun. It's fine. Y'all do your thing. I'm here to support you from the outside.
So okay. Let's draw a line here though. And I think this is important because this is important. This is important with like parenting. I think this is important at work, right? There's a difference between fun and rewarding, right?
Yes.
True.
Like I get a lot of job satisfaction. Like my job is not particularly easy. It's not always particularly fun. But at the end of the day, I feel like I've done something that made the world better. And that makes me feel like I have a lot of job satisfaction. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with parenting. What do you got, Doug?
Sorry, I was pouring this because I've been waiting. This is an Imperial Schwarz beer from Lakes and Rivers. From actually a Wallenpaw pack. It's called Lakes and Rivers. This is an 8% Schwarz beer. So I'd never had an Imperial Schwarz beer. Schwarz beers are generally in like 6 to 5% range. This is 8. So
I'm going hard with the percentage today.
Yeah, but that's it. I'm done because I had an NA and I knew I'd have 2 bigger ones.
Oh, that's fair. You were smart about it. I went lighter because it's hot and I haven't eaten dinner yet because West Coast. Oh, P.S. Sorry, we've interrupted. I'll also say what I'm drinking. I have a Ale Industry. I think I've had this on the stream before. I had an Ale Industries Kolsch as well. I poured this and I've been drinking it. It's very refreshing.
Yeah, I remember that can. It's a cool can.
I want that as art. I straight want it as art. Sorry.
That's true. You're right, Jack.
That was on the stream like a year ago. We're not going Imperial anymore.
Grand. We're going to use the word grand as our friends at Giant Jones do it because the Imperial has obviously colonizer roots. So yes, you're correct.
Especially Imperial plus the German. Like, come on.
Yeah,
I feel like that beer is gonna storm into my house and take me in the night. Like I don't like that at all. It's got a hell of a head on it though.
It does. I was like,
that's his helmet.
He's like reverse palace guard for the Buckingham Palace or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Back to Berto.
Sorry. What was happening? Job satisfaction, maybe.
Yeah, job satisfaction. Like parenting's not always fun, but it can be very rewarding, right? Like
I've heard. Yes.
You know, because ultimately, it also could be like absolutely soul crushing, because like ultimately, like I think, at least me and hopefully many people, like what you're trying to do is you're trying to like send a good person out into the world who's also going to continue to make the world better, right? Like you're not trying to send someone out there. You're like, all right, go fucking destroy things. Like, right. You're like, go like be better than me and don't make the mistakes I made. And also, you know, I'm good now. So to take that part of me with you and go and be good. And when you see them do that, it is really rewarding. Like Like when my 14-year-old will ask for more time on Discord, like because I have phone. My understanding is I'm fairly strict around screen time.
Like compared to the masses.
Like compared to the rest of other, like the therapist actually was like, you guys are a little extra, like on the screen restrictions.
Okay.
Like, okay, but like my 14-year-old asked for more Discord time through the whatever the ask me for parental control time app that we have.
Okay.
And then we'll follow up with a text that says, I'm talking with a friend about their mental health. So we need a few more minutes.
I get that one. I get that one.
And I'm like, okay, because I believe it. Like these kids, like that's one thing about this generation, my 14-year-old generation, is I think that they actually do talk about that stuff.
Oh, they do for sure.
You know, and it's really cool because I forget where I was. I had some conversation with someone about like, oh, I was on a TV thing and talking about one of my high school teachers, but the point of that segment was that like we had this cool high school teacher who taught our social living class, which was like sex ed plus like how to deal with yourself as a hormonal teenager. It's called Hi, I'm Nancy Rubin, and I think it's on Showtime. I don't know. It's on a few streaming platforms. But my point about that was that like taking that class with her, like me and my friends then, like I think had conversations that weren't necessarily typical of like teenage boys in the 90s all the time. Like we would have like little interventions with each other about like, you know, it's people down, like, Berto, you know, your behavior lately is really affecting the rest of the group, and we'd like to tell you why. Like, you know, we would like talk about our feelings and how our behavior was affecting each other.
That was not my high school experience.
Right? Like we also
It's
did
not
all
most
the
people's, I don't think.
we also did a bunch of dumb shit, like, you know, typical stupid things. But
Balance.
like we also had these moments of like where, you know, and it happened to every one of us. Everyone got sat down by the group at some point to say, like, you know, we're not going to be able to hang out with you as much if you continue doing this set of things, right? Which was like super healthy for us. And so I do believe like that these kids are out here, especially at all these ones who went through like middle school or high school, like started middle school during stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they're definitely talking to each other about their mental health, you know?
Yeah, and I've had experiences with my kids where they actually will tell me like my mental health really isn't great right now. Can I talk to you about some stuff? And man, as a parent, that's a fucking great thing to hear. It sounds because it means they trust you to tell you that stuff. And you know, like I said, that I know one of my kids specifically, the COVID stay at home stuff really messed them up. Like from a mental health perspective, it really threw them for a loop. And so it has been a road to get them back to where they feel stable, but not that it was like terrible. It was just something where they were going a certain path, and then that just threw everything into like a huge monkey wrench into it. And so, yeah, it's it's. I agree with you, Berto, that I have seen my kids are far more willing to talk about their feelings and their mental health with their friends and partners and things like that. So much more than I did when I was a kid. Like somebody said, man, my mental health sucks when I was a kid. We would have mocked them mercilessly for doing that. It would have been terrible. And that's obviously not helping them, but that was the way it was. You know, same thing with somebody said we thought somebody was gay, and we just fucking people would just be merciless to them. You know, it's I think our kids do a lot more of sort of being aware of that sort of stuff and being able to try to be there for each other. So I agree with you. We've had points where like certain points would be like, well, we're eating dinner, no texting. And one of our kids would be like, well, I'm talking about one friend, they're having it, they're going through it. And then be like, okay, well, you know, do what you need to do. But you feel bad because if they're actually helping someone, you don't want to stifle that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So one other thing that you mentioned before in like our pre show chat was you are sending your kids on public transport. and we didn't.
You say transport sounds like they're going to
They're gonna beam.
Endor or something.
I've always heard it as transport, not trans. But yeah, I guess
is that
right.
Where are you from? You said.
Like I said, rural PA.
Clyde
We didn't.
Indiana?
Understand that, like, rural PA has no public transportation. It's like transportation is actually what we always say.
Yes. Well, put them on the transport into the big city English.
It would be nice. It would be nice if it was transport, just like them back. But yeah,
it sounds much faster than just what we've actually got.
What's funny? This is the least tipsy I've been on the show in fucking months, and I am messing up words right and left tonight.
No, it's fine. It's fine that rural Pennsylvanians call it transport. I think that's.
I think it was transportation, but I was trying to like be smart and abbreviate it, and it sounded super dumb. So I'll just drink beer and let you two talk.
No, yeah, public. Well.
And so like and I think you also mentioned like what age is the right age to do that sort of stuff. So,
well, I guess I was actually curious, like about you guys, right? Like, what, like how independent were you at 14, right? Because we've got Doug, who's like 100 years old.
Doug,
right? And I'm sort of in the middle, and then Lauren is essentially a Gen Z or something. Yeah, right. And so we've got a little stratification here. I would love to hear from the people watching.
14.
Like what were you capable of doing? Like, where did you go? How much freedom did you have? How did you do it when you were like 12, 13, 14 years old? Because my kids are sort of like not where I was at, but I feel like they're also hopefully they're getting to like where they're beyond some of their peers. And it's because I'll tell you why I thought of this. I had the most fascinating disaster. Wow. Bart to the dentist in 4th grade. That's awesome.
It's like, what that's like, I was like, oh my God, 4th grade, 8-ish. Is that 8 years old?
Yeah. It's 8, 9.
8, 9.
Depending on your birthday.
Gil was interning with Ralph Cramden, driving a bus.
Gotta help make a living for the fam.
So like when I was in 5th grade is really when I started taking public transit, and I would take the bus to the BART, which is our local light rail, and I would go into San Francisco to take acting classes until about 7 o'clock at night, and then come home back to Oakland. So that was like, and actually before that, we lived in Barcelona, and I would take 2 subways and then walk like half a mile up a hill to go to school. Well, it was both ways. Barcelona is very hilly, like San Francisco, and so like on my way to school, I'd have to walk up the hill to school, and on my way home, I'd have to walk up the hill to home. So it was uphill both ways.
It's true.
It's
real.
Yeah. So I was doing that in a foreign country where people were like, "Oh, but you speak Spanish." I'm like, "But they don't in Barcelona really speak Spanish. Not my language of instruction at school was not Spanish. It was Catalan,
which is different.
It's different, and I was completely lost. But yeah, so like that was my experience. So then when I came back here and I was taking the bus around and taking BART, and like it was pretty easy. And my kids for a couple of years now have been taking BART to school, right? Because we live in Berkeley. They go to school in Oakland. They have to go like 2 or 3 stops down the line, and they get off and they walk a couple of blocks to school. But they had the most incredible misadventure the other day. Like it's 2 stories. So last week,
I cannot wait.
We're working. My wife and I both work. There was a day we could not pick them up from camp. So we said, okay, here's the deal. You got to take the bus home. It's 1 bus, and it drops you off in front of the house. Okay. It's very easy. They both have phones. They both have like Google Maps. They know how to get to the bus. They can work this out. Bring your bus pass and your house key. 2 important things to have when you have to come home by yourself.
True.
They get down there, and we're getting texts, right? We're at the bus stop. Okay, yay, great, you're at the bus stop. The bus came. It didn't stop for us. Okay, what were you doing when the bus came? Were you like standing at the pole, like looking at the bus? No, we saw it coming. We got up. We started walking towards the stop, and he went by. Like, yeah, you got to be at that pole, brother. You can't be like, meandering around. Bus drivers are not having it. So we're like, okay, next time just be at the pole, like wave at him when, wave at the bus driver when they come. 20 minutes later, get the text. Oh, my middle child, I don't have my bus pass. That's fine. Scan the other kid's bus pass twice. You're fine, right? It takes the money out each time. You're good to go. 20 minutes later, text. Older one is like, I don't have my bus pass. So now there's no bus passes. 10 minutes later, I'm like, I guess you got to walk. Like, I don't know what you're going to do. Or you can wait for us at the cafe and we'll come pick you up. 10 minutes later, oh, I did have it. It was in my jacket, but my jacket was in the other kid's backpack.
That's such a kid sibling thing to have happen.
Right. So and then they're like, well, we're just going to take Bart because that's what we know how to do.
Okay.
Taking the bus is not complicated. Okay, fine. So I look it up. I'm like, it's a 35-minute walk to Bart. Like, it's fine. That's what we're going to do. Fine. I'm working. This whole time I'm working. I'm in meetings. I'm like writing things, whatever. 10 minutes later, though, it occurs to me, like, you guys only have one card. How are you going to both get on the train?
Transport.
Yes. And they're like, we've got it worked out. One person scans in, the gates open, they go in. Then they scan like they're leaving, the gates open again, the other person goes in, and we do the same thing on the other side. Right? Sounds very clever, except that charges you for like a full trip. Like, as if you went to the end of the line and back. And so BART, unlike some transit systems, charges you per stop. So if you go one stop or it's this
Distance
much, right?
situation.
It's like a cab, right? It's like an Uber. So if you go to the end of the line, it's more expensive than if you go one or two stops, right? So like their plan was to charge a trip to the end of the line and back each time they went in.
You're like
right?
in the middle of the lines.
So instead of like two $2.50 trips, it's like two like $12 trips. I'm like, do not make this a habit. Oh my God.
I mean, I'm sorry, was that the end of the misadventures? Or was
no?
There's more.
Because
there's more.
There is. So then this week, the oldest one is the only one at that camp because my middle child has gone to Germany to visit a friend and drink Schwartz beer or whatever.
Yeah, naturally.
And so this is now just one child. Same thing. Can't pick you up today. Take your bus pass. Take your key. Hey, Dad, if I bring my backpack, can I bring a book with me? Yeah, sure. Bring your backpack. Bring a book. Do the whole thing. Do whatever you need to do. We get to camp. We pull up to camp. Oh, I don't have my bus pass or my key. You said you brought your backpack. It was a different backpack. Why'd you bring a different backpack? What was the point of like? Fine. Figure out how you're getting home. Get a ride from someone. Walk, whatever. Just keep me posted during the day. Let me know what's going on. So I get a text at 3:00. Hey, Dad, what's up? I'm like, I don't know, bud. What's up? Well, I don't have my bus pass or my key. Yeah, I know. Okay, so what should I do? You were supposed to be figuring this out during the day. No, I didn't say text me at 3:00 because I will have a plan for you. And here's the thing. Getting out of the car, the kid goes, or I could just jump the turnstile at BART. I'm like, dude, please don't. Because I don't want to have to come pick you up. Right? So, here's my child. My lovely, wonderful, beautiful 14-year-old child. And they're like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to walk. I'm like, okay. I have location tracking for all my children. I knew that my middle child was at Gatwick Airport. I know where my oldest child is. So I'm watching because they're walking through Oakland home. It's going to take like 2 hours, right? So I'm watching them. And then they go dark. And now now you're scared. Someone stole the phone. they're locked in someone's trunk. Like something happened.
Yep.
15 minutes, 15 agonizing minutes. I cannot see where they are. And then they pop up near home. And I'm like, that was fast. They made it home already. They're close to home already. And then they pop up downtown. And then they're at the library. And they're chilling at the library. I'm like, well, they don't have a key. They're chilling at the library. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, wait a second. They jumped the turnstile. They can't get that far that fast. And they were out of communication for 15 minutes because they were underground. And we have T-Mobile, and T-Mobile sucks. And that's why their phone was going straight to voicemail and their location wasn't pinging and everything, because for those 15 minutes they were underground. And then they pop back up, and then they pop. And so I'm fighting traffic to go pick up the little one, who I have to pick up before 6 o'clock. You guys know how that is, right?
Yeah.
And the kid calls me and goes, "Hey, Dad, I'm almost home. I'm near the high school." And the high school is past our house, right? So they're busted. Even if I didn't have the track, they're busted right there.
If you're gonna like say stuff, what are you saying?
But then also they called me right at the 2-hour mark, right when like the thing said
When
they
it
should be getting home.
be.
Right. Hey, bud.
They think you're so clever.
How'd you get home? I walked. You walked? Yeah, I walked. You're sure you walked? Yeah, I walked. You walked all the way there? Yeah. You didn't take Bart? No, Dad, I didn't take Bart. You didn't take Bart and hang out at the library? No, I walked. Why? Because I knew you took Bart. Okay, I took Bart. Like, and here's the thing: jumping the turnstile at Bart, not that big a deal. Seriously, like if they just been like, I jumped the turnstile. I'm like, dude,
Like, come on.
Don't do that
like,
again,
what
but
are you-
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
right? And because I know they don't actually like stop people for jumping the turnstile, because the station agents don't get paid to like tackle people
Do
and
anything.
Right.
like deal with things, right? They will have the BART cops come on the train and check, like, did you pay your fare? Did you pay your, like, they'll do that. And I don't know what the consequence is if they find, usually they just make you get off. But
Like you need to leave.
yeah, but I don't want to have to go down and pick someone up at the station. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if they just said like, oh yeah, like I jumped the turnstile, fine, then we would have a little talk about it. But now they lied to me 5 times on direct questioning. That doesn't work.
Decision making of children.
So like this whole idea, like, so that was my debacle this last like week. But like of like, what were you guys doing back then? Like when you were that age? And I want to know what people's kids are doing now, you know?
Lauren, you go first because I have rural approach to this. So
I mean,
Doug was
okay.
riding a goat down to the general store on his own.
Like a responsible boy. Okay, so what age was I? Was like, okay, I lived in the Bay Area, which is like not a small place, but like I lived in a smaller town at that around that age, like middle schoolish age. I got moved in the middle of 5th grade. I was so mad, but it's fine. We've moved past that. But it was like a smallish town where like our specific town didn't have a freeway exit. Like we were cornered by 2 other towns. Like the freeway went like this, and there was a town here and a town here, and like we were here. So like what I'm trying to say with this is I think that I wasn't in the middle of nowhere, but it felt like
Vince Lombardi. Like there's a seal here and a seal here, and this town's just up.
I need like the dry erase. Like I need X's and
some red string. And some red.
Yeah,
string.
you need Charlie Day with the like.
Oh yeah, like and some push pins, and this is how it worked. But this is how it worked. I think that what I'm saying with this is, my situation was a little bit because some of it is like what you have access to or not, because I was in a town where it wasn't like as easily, there wasn't a lot of public transit to get really far really easily, in the sense that like we had buses, but if you wanted to go out of the town, it's like you have to take a bus to BART to a different bus. And so it's not just like, which is fine, but like I wasn't.
Wait, you took a bus to BART to a bus?
If you wanted to go somewhere else, and if you were at an age where you couldn't drive, and you wanted to, like, if you weren't getting dropped off by
What
parents somewhere.
vortex? What? This is amazing.
This is a wormhole in the Bay Area.
I know.
Is this Tri Valley? Is this like
La Marinda area?
Yeah, Tri Valley.
Tri Valley is like San Ramon, Danville over there, over Dublin,
Okay.
Pleasanton over there.
Yeah, but La Marinda is a whole other deal.
Also its own thing. So like, okay, the reason I'm saying this is at like age 12, like I had parents who worked, and so I'm the older of me and my sister. My sister's 2 years younger than me, and I'm trying to remember exactly which age. I was probably like 11 or 12, where we would go to summer camp, but they're working during the day, and so we would get dropped off by adult humans, go to camp, and then in the middle of the day you have to go home. And if we were like old enough that we didn't necessarily need a babysitter, but how do you get anywhere? So we took the bus, but it was literally because like it's not like it was too hard, like from our child minds, it's not like we could go on a library adventure. Like that's too hard to like get to a bus to like a bar and then go somewhere else. Like we could go home and it was fine. We figured that out, go to the bus stop. We like played solitaire or cards or whatever while we waited in the shade because it's terribly hot. And then we'd go home and we were trusted to do that. And it was generally fine. But in terms of what else we could get into, it was like there were less access points to other things, I guess, or like it was like too many barriers of like you need all of the passes, or like where would we even go, and like time schedule. So like there wasn't like a lot of places we'd like wander off into other places. I don't know.
When I was 14, I had a friend who rode a 1-gear BMX bike from Pinole to Berkeley, which like
that is far.
And there's no like, it's not like it's connected by regular streets. I have to get like some context for people.
Yeah, it's like the easiest ways to get from those places are like the freeway, but if you're on a bike, it's like a bunch of twists and turns.
14 miles through like the Tilden Park, like the hills, basically.
The hills of like woods.
Yes, you have to like go through the forest. He was like Elliot. Like if he had ET in his little basket, that would have been a good analogy.
So I feel like in that sense, where it's just like I didn't have a lot of in the sense of like I don't have a lot of options. You're like walking or taking a bus, but beyond, like if you're trying to go anywhere beyond that without a license or someone to bring you there, it's like for a kid really complicated to figure out like, well, how does the bus connect to BART to connect to the other thing? Because it's so separated. Also in the Bay Area, there's not a lot of the public transit is questionable. It's not questionable. It's just not as far reaching as you want it to be. So,
I mean, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, me and my friends had the little bus maps. We were like spreading them out like we were doing a heist.
Like, how do we
in a room? Yeah, we were like in a bedroom.
Get the red crayon.
We're like, yeah, how do we get from here to the marina? Like,
well, this gets here at like 12:15, and if we get there and everything's on time, then at 12:25 this comes.
Right. Well, and like the store that sold all the cool like imported Japanese like manga and toys and stuff was in Emeryville, so we had to like
get there.
We had to figure out how to get there, right? So, Doug, tell us about riding a mule to get penny candies at the shop.
No mule. Bikes everywhere, and I'm talking everywhere. And I lived in a town that was about 400 people. It was very small town.
It is very small.
1/10 the size of my high school.
I'm telling you, it was tiny.
Point, I think that was my graduating class size.
Yeah, my graduating class was the largest class that ever went through that high school, and it was 150 people. Like usually the normal, like the average graduating class is somewhere between 80 and 100. So no, Zach, I did not rob a kid for saltwater taffy. That was not something that happened. So, so starting young, and I'm talking young, like 7. It was like if it was summer, especially. All right, sun's up. You get up.
Go do something.
Don't you sleep in. Here's your chores. Get your chores done. My parents had a garden that was big because we were poor and we grew a lot of our own food. So I would do my chores, get that shit, and then I would get on my bike and I would find friends and go ride around all day. And I mean all fucking day. And my parents were like, come make sure you're back when the street lights come on. And I'm not kidding you. I'd be gone all day. I might come back if I was really hungry. I would come back and make like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and be in and out of the house in 10 minutes. And it was just all fucking day. And I was just away. And I mean, we did some crazy dumb shit, like just because we were bored and we were in a little town. Like one of the dumbest things we did, and we did a
Good.
lot.
I was like, you need to say something to that.
So there was a baseball field at the end of town. By end of town, probably a half mile. The town was small, but it was spread out. So there's train tracks right through the town. So what we would do is when the trains would come through, if we want to go to the ball field, they had to go slow because there was a crossing, and we would just fucking grab the train and ride it all the way down the end of town and hop off.
That's how Doug lost his leg.
I have both legs somehow. But yeah, it is kind of super weird to think about some of the just shit we just somehow managed to not die doing while we were out. It might have been a one go town. I don't think there were any goats actually in the town. Outside of the town, it definitely were.
It hadn't been imported yet.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to tell you, it was the classic Gen X. Oh, it's morning. All right, grab a bowl of cereal, eat that, get the fuck out of the house, stay out of the house all day, and and my parents weren't dicks. They weren't like, hey, get the fuck out of the house. They was just understood that it was like time for you to go out.
Did you have older siblings? Was that just like, how did you?
I was the oldest.
And it was just like, go find your friends.
My brothers are 7 and 8 years younger than me. So like at that age, my brothers were like, my first brother was an infant. So my mom had her fucking hands full, and she was just like, and I would be like, do you need anything? Nope. All right. And I'd be out the door because I didn't want to help with the baby because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
We know what happens with diapers. We've already covered that.
Yeah. So basically like that would happen. And then, I was a latchkey kid. My parents worked. So like I came home from school at fucking 3, and it was like, all right, figure it out until we get home.
That's true too. Like at younger ages, like if you could bike or walk somewhere, like I don't want to say like I had free reign, but like there was a certain level of like, we're going to trust, like, can you go around the block with your bike and be trusted to come home? Cool. Okay. There was like tests along the way, but there were definitely times where I lived on a court on part of my life. And at the edge, there was like a fence, but on the other side, there was like a whole housing, not development, but area where there's like a bunch of like townhomes or something like that. And I had a friend who like lived on that side, and sometimes we'd be outside and we could hear each other and we'd be like, hey, do you want to hang out like through this fence? Like we'd see each other through a fence and be like, you want to hang out? And then we'd just like ride bikes around the block, wherever, to go find each other. So they're like bikes and walking within reason of like, we're leaving. It wasn't just an assumption that you were out and you'd come back. It was kind of like, I'm outside playing and now I'm leaving. That happened way earlier, but in terms of being trusted to get further than might be like when it's like public transit, or like how do you get further than just what is maybe walkable or bikeable, that was a little bit later. But we could be trusted to like get to school, get to camps at a older elementary school age. That was kind of expected. Like, we're working, you go to school.
I started as a latchkey kid in first grade, but that was just like a couple blocks, and then it was the typical like
super far.
Ride your bike around with your friends around the block, and
that's the barrier.
And like leave the front door open and have your parents get freaked out and mad because you just left the door open, like you lived in rural Pennsylvania or something.
Then you didn't have to worry about that because nobody fucking busted in your door. But I would like to say one of your things you talked about, one of your friends that like drove a bike like 14 miles. I did that several times,
like semi-regularly.
But because there was this one little elementary school that had a basketball court where the rims were elementary school, like 8 feet.
Oh yes, the 8-foot rims, and we could all dunk.
Yeah, so my friends and I went. So my dad would like get his van, and we'd have like 3 of my friends, and we'd load our bikes in. And we all lived in disparate parts. Like, it wasn't like we all lived in the same, like, it'd be like, hey, can you pick up so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah. And we'd have to drive 5 miles to go pick this friend up, go up to this court. So we all were driving like 10 to 15 miles on our bike back home. And not on like things with side. We were driving on rural fucking roads, which means you don't know what you're going to run into on those roads. It could be some guy in a pickup truck not paying attention. It could be a myriad of things. But yeah, it was a weird thing. But I think I probably did that 10 to 15 times where I just got on my bike and like, okay, well, I'm going to ride home now. And
I mean,
This
and
is a
these are the things that make me feel like a little bit of a failure as a parent. Is that my kids can't do they can't do some things. So like,
but it's different, right?
yeah, but like, so my 8-year-old can like microwave those Indian food lentils you get at Costco. Like that's
Oh.
about her level of cooking. Like she knows she'd tear the thing, put it in for 60 seconds, take it out, eat it. And I'm looking back, I'm like, well, when I was 8, my mom, who had to work and do, she was like, yeah, here's how you use the oven. Here's how you make can of soup. I wasn't making souffles or anything, but I could make a French bread pizza.
Amazing.
Right. And like,
That's-
I could not have this 8-year-old around fire right now. Like, which I feel like is my fault, right? Like, it's not like, oh, kids these days, they don't know how to do anything. Of course she doesn't know how to do anything. I haven't given her the tools to do that. My 12-year-old can make you a full dinner and makes the best egg over easy I've ever had. But the 8-year-old is useless for a lot of things.
oh, they're 8.
Well, but then I'm like,
a little bit of a pass.
Well, right, but that's the thing is like,
right?
I'm like, okay, I'm trying to debate like, can I leave my 14-year-old to watch the 8-year-old and for how long? And then like, I started babysitting when I was 9. Like I started, right? Like that's
Like I babysat at
too
10.
young.
That's very weird.
I babysat at 10, maybe 11, 10,
It,
11.
it reminds me of that John Mulaney skit where he talks about how he had a crush on his babysitter and he thought she was like way older than him and she was like 3 years older than he was. And he's like, what? He's like, you could just dial the phone slightly faster than me if you were watching me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's like Lauren said, it's a different time. Like our kids have different aptitudes. Like I said, they have the aptitude to know to talk about mental health and stuff like that. Do they have the aptitude we had when we were kids because things were a bit more hands-on? Probably not. But I think they're ahead of the game from the perspective of they're way more aware of social issues and mental health than I ever was. So I think like, yeah, maybe they can't make something more than microwavable for 60 seconds, but hey, guess what? They're probably a lot more adept at telling you, hey, Dad, this is bothering me. And whereas, if I said that to my parents, my dad would be like, yeah, so what are you going to do about it? And I'm like, I guess I'm just going to sit here with my ball of anxiety, I suppose. Let me go over here.
It's true. Because like maybe they can't microwave much and cook much, but it's like I bet they can find like really good options for restaurants on Yelp. Like
they can DoorDash at 8.
What's the useful? What do we need right now? There's different useful things.
Not all heroes wear capes.
That was my very first like old man thing was, so my brother's 13 years younger than me. And my very first old man thing was like, how do you, like when he was 13, I was like, how do you not know how to use the internet? Like, you know how to use like the trip planner? Like, cause then this goes back to like using public transit because my mom was, oh, I can't drive him everywhere. I don't have time. And I'm like, right. You didn't drive me anywhere. Like you told me to take the bus. I took the bus everywhere. Why can't he take the bus? Well, he doesn't know how to take. I'm like, bro, like, just look it up. Like, look it up. He'd be like on, I don't know what. I remember coming in. He's on the computer. He was on like Google Earth. Like, it was like before maps. It was just, he was on like a map, right? Like, I'm like, just go to the transit website. There's a trip planner. You put in where you start and where you end and either when you're leaving or when you need to get there. And it will tell you all the buses to take. Like, how are you 13? You don't know how to use the internet. Like, this is supposed to be like your thing. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's how we can't always rely on that though, because I do remember at some point in high school. High school. I played ultimate frisbee.
Of course you did.
Ultimate frisbee, just not
did.
mediocre.
Not
frisbee.
penultimate frisbee, not
no.
pretty good frisbee.
Meh frisbee.
This is the
ultimate.
pinnacle of all frisbeeing.
Yeah, and ultimate. to the people in the know. You only have to say the
Extreme
frisbee part. You just say ultimate. You don't have to say the frisbee part. You just say ultimate.
You just
But
say
I
ultimate.
did- yeah, it's just
Oof. I
like if
just
you
played
play
a little
ultimate, you know
oof,
what that is.
little oof, little yeah.
That feels weird. We went to a tournament that was like towards Tahoe, like not quite. It's in Quincy, like not quite Tahoe. But this was also like nobody had smartphones. The internet existed, but it was still like learning. And it was probably MapQuest. And at one point, we were driving, we had multiple cars, different driving, but different times because we're carpooling. And so we're teens who can drive and are mostly responsible. See, like seniors in high school. And we had like 4 of us in my car that was driving up later. We were the last car in the evening because like who could leave when and whatever. So we were last car. It was like, so it was nighttime as we're driving up towards Tahoe mountain times. And we got to a point on the MapQuest instructions where there's no backup plan. This is what you printed out. And this is what you followed. And it was like whatever freeway it was like, let's say it was like 50 or something like that. But it was like, take 50 west. And we're like, okay. And we start seeing signs and the options for 50 are like north, south. And we're like, oh my God, what do we do? So we just had to make a choice and then hope that the next instruction still matched it. If it didn't, we'd have to backtrack. So like, there's a lot of different learning curves in each level.
Do you remember? Do you remember driving like this with the MapQuest directions on the steering wheel?
Yep.
This is true. Or
actually, I would do
behind.
this. I would have this, and I would have the directions like this. I'd be doing this while I was driving.
It's true. We had a lot of multitasking. I mean, like I will speak for myself. I won't put it on you, but burned mixed CD binder of music options, also choosing and changing that while driving, while also MapQuest-ing.
Oh yeah. People talk about distracted driving now. Like they don't even know. Like
were you alive?
The CD thing that was on the like
visor.
Oh,
visor?
the visor
right.
flip.
So now you got your MapQuest here, and you're kind of doing your vision's complete. Like you can see this much of the road. This is all.
That was enough, wasn't it? That was enough.
I mean, apparently we're all still here.
It worked out.
MapQuest definitely tried to take me down a bike path a couple of times.
Oh, what a comment this is.
Bro, my friends in high school were delivering these pizzas with nothing, with their knowledge. Like, think about like
I know these
neighborhood knowledge.
Just like they're like, I know where Kittredge is. Like, whatever.
Like, I can get there. You're like, okay.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. Having a friend like in high school though, like having a friend who delivered pizzas was the best.
Because they knew they knew how to get to everything.
They knew also you're like, is Affy working tonight? Let's get a pizza. He'll come over here, deliver it. We'll smoke him out. Like, well, I'll have a good time. It'll be great. We'll just eat pizzas and be ruffians. So the coda to the transit story is this morning. So my kid lies to me, has to rebuild trust now. And I'm like, and so they go, okay, Dad, here's what I'll do just to show I can do it. I will take the bus home from camp the rest of the week. I was like, you will take the bus to camp the rest of the week. You're on your own for camp for the rest of the week. And so yesterday they go out and watching the little thing and they get to camp and they text, Dad, I made it. Great. They come home. Everything's great. This morning, they had to leave. I was doing something. Dad, bye. I'm going to go out to the bus. Okay. And I finished what I'm doing, and I just wanted to go out and like give a hug and say goodbye. And I go out and I look across the street at the bus stop that goes south where they're going, and they're not there. I'm like, oh, the bus came. Okay, well, good times. And I turn around to go back in, and it's a good thing I turned to my right, because if I had turned to my left, I would not have seen my child sitting at the northbound bus stop. Scrolling through their phone, ready to go in the complete wrong direction.
So close.
Like, yo, buddy, hey, yo, hey, yo, and they can't hear me in a headphone, whatever. I'm like, hey, where are you going? Going to camp? You sure? Yeah. Which way is camp? Which stop did you get off yesterday when you got home? Was it this one? Yeah, but this said 12. I'm like, yeah, it's the 12 both ways. That's how buses work. Right? Well, like, where did you get on the bus yesterday? Where did you Oh. Well, I would have known, Dad, when I saw that my dot was moving away from the path. I would have known. Like, yeah, okay, that is a way to go about it. You could just guess which bus stop it is and then play like GPS roulette, right? Or you could just like go like camps that way because the city that camp is in is that way and it's not this way, right? So that was like we're getting there, right?
There's
Yeah.
so much learning that happens that is great and also fascinating to see unfold. And I feel like it's like the lines between letting kids learn and wanting to help and success and like learn through failure. It's such a thin line sometimes where you're like,
Well,
oh, buddy.
and maybe this is a national phenomenon, Lauren. You can tell me if you have this. I think everyone I know has I was a kid and I went like all the way to the end of the wrong stop on BART story, right? Like, so for me, it was I was going to I was in a show in San Francisco and I fell asleep because it was after school and I was tired.
It's always the
I was
falling
in like,
asleep.
and again, I was in like 5th, 6th grade and I ended up like in Daly City instead of Embarcadero, right?
Oh, no.
Like, and payphones back then, I had to like call the theater. I had to call my mom to call the theater and be like, I'm trying to get there. I'm late. I was freaking out. My little brother went to an A's game that ended at 10 o'clock at night. And then instead of getting on the train coming home, got on the train that went like to
The other
Fremont or
way.
the
Oh,
other
no.
way and was like, didn't realize it for 12
Many
stops.
stops.
Right. And then my kids did the same thing. They got on the wrong train. They went the wrong way. They're like, we're at the end of the line somewhere we've never been. So yeah. Little grace for those.
It's true. Like, gotta give space for learning, but sometimes you're just like, oh, should I help? Like, the coaching it through is always the nice in between and also stressful.
Yeah. So, how about we shift gears a bit, because I think we talked about the kids, because we could do this all freaking night where we're just talking about the ways we grew up and ways they grew up. It's a myriad of things. So
It's a forever topic.
yeah, it is. It's an evergreen topic, as the phrasing goes. Goodness, evergreen. That's kind of one of those things that you like. Why are we doing that? So, boy, hold on here. Yeah. So, how about we do? Well, Berto just dropped off. But what I was, yeah. So, what we need to do is we're going to talk about things we're watching when Berto comes back. But so when he comes back, we'll go back to this. But it looks like he's back.
I'm back. I was listening. I just had to go get the next one, and there we go.
All right. Which one is that?
This is the Anchor West Coast IPA.
All right. Well, pour that out. Let's see what it looks like.
As we're keeping everything West Coast today. I didn't bring a glass. I'm very
okay.
Unrefined today.
That's not unrefined. That's what it is. You're trying to pay respects to Anchor, so we appreciate it.
I'm also just trying not to be gone wrong. It's good. It is. Again, so like Anchor, their thing isn't, and this was again part of like when you read like the employees at Anchor are speculating on why everything fell apart. And one of the things they mentioned is like it got bought and then they wanted to do all these new styles and this and that. And they're like, we're really a very traditional beer. You know what you're getting. And this is a very traditional West Coast IPA. It's not, it's not a departure from what you would expect. It's got that nice sort of fruitiness. It's pretty light. It doesn't have that really strong IPA, like we're killing you with the hops. It's more like mellow. But it is like, it's like, again, like I feel like most of what Anchor makes is like the prototype of that style. And it's well done and it's good and it's delicious, but it's not like it doesn't have pop rocks in it or whatever. It's just
it's like a solid diner food that like makes solid diner food, but you're not going to get like crab Benedict
exactly
and like weirder things. Yeah,
Exactly.
you know what to expect.
Yeah. So I'm super happy with it. Like I'm really enjoying it, and get one while you can, because they halted production on Tuesday or whatever. They're not making anything else. So you go grab an anchor and try to enjoy it.
Okay, so segue by my part there. So
It was amazing.
all right, so how about I will start with this because I actually have something ready to talk about. With the oops, hold on, now it's not coming up. Hold on. There we go. I decided, since the new Mission Impossibles come out, to start rewatching all of the Mission Impossibles, because now they're going to do an ad for fucking Barbie, which is fine. But the first
many
Mission Impossible, I think
I
they're
was like, I don't actually.
8 or 9. 8 or 9.
Oh my god! Really?
I think 8.
I have the first one on VHS. That's how long this shit's been running. Okay.
Look at Tom Cruise and how he is not gray. This movie is from 1996.
I mean,
and this is where this is where I think we're also kind of introduced to Tom Cruise running in every movie.
right.
So I will say I watched this and I was surprised at how well it actually held up.
I feel like you could cut this as a trailer for Jerry Maguire. He's just like stressed out, and he's like got his hair, and he's
Yeah, and it's funny. Obviously, the stuff doesn't hold up with the technology because it was made in '96. Like, it's not going to look the same. But at the time, yeah, it works. But it's interesting that I was also thinking about while I was watching this is the first movie I ever saw Ving Rhames in.
You didn't see Pulp Fiction?
Was Pulp Fiction before '96?
Yeah, Pulp Fiction was like '92 or something. Because we
I
all
don't remember.
the soundtrack, man.
I don't remember him. I don't remember him in Pulp Fiction at all. I remember
Wallace,
Samuel
right?
Jackson.
He's Marcellus Wallace.
I would also like to point out that I have watched Pulp Fiction once in my life, just once. So, and
I forget. Well, because you were like 40 when it came out, so
42.
You know, okay.
But yeah, that was. It's interesting that like I watched this and I'm looking forward because I remember Mission Impossible 2. I think Mission Impossible movies are made by their villains. Like the villain in here is John Voight. John Voight is kind of a shitty guy in real life. So yeah, here we go. Mission Impossible 3, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, Dead Rec. So actually, I apologize. We're only at 5 or 6. Like the new one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The new one is 7. So we're at 6. So I apologize.
It's still more than I think my brain retained.
But I will tell you, like something like seeing like the villains, and I'm trying to think of the more memorable villains. I think Voight is one of them. I think that Philip Seymour Hoffman in Mission Impossible 3 was probably the best villain in any Mission Impossible movie. And then you have Henry Cavill in Fallout. It's interesting because
is it Cavill?
Cavill is how it's pronounced. Yeah.
Is it? Huh. I had no idea.
I feel like I've always heard Cavill. I have no clue.
And maybe it's but I've heard it pronounced, but I think he said it's pronounced Cavill. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's what I heard and somebody mispronounced it, and then that's how I thought about it. But like, it's
like me with Megan Rapinoe. I always think I'm saying it wrong, and so I say it the other way, and then I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Is that the correct way?
I think it is, because my instinct is to go the other way. So I think
Rapinoe.
Yeah. Anyway,
I have no idea.
She's retiring. It's sad. I love her.
But Mission Impossible. Sorry.
No. So I'm looking forward to seeing Dead Reckoning. I think, and if I'm gonna not that I'm going to do any sort of ranking, but I think the Mission Impossible first one was so kind of new and weird and just like kind of different. I still think that's probably the best one I've seen. The last one, which was Fallout, I think is the second best one. And then the one that had Philip Seymour Hoffman in it, which was Mission Impossible 3. He was such a fucking awesome villain in that made that movie really great just because of how good of a villain he was. But he was such a good actor. I think he could, as the old phrase goes, he could have read the phone book and it would have sounded great. So yeah. All right. What are you guys? How about Lauren? Are you watching anything? Anything you want to talk about?
What am I watching? Like actively? I say that because I have watched many things.
Active. I like how that was very like
you're a passive watcher.
Like it was almost like you were acting like active.
I fell into a character.
Yeah, you're like.
No, I say that because I first of all, there's so much content out there. Film, TV, podcast. There's so much that I'm interested in and behind on that I'm like just fall behind. I'm just behind.
I have good news for you. Nothing new is coming out for a while, so you got some
That's
time.
fair. I've heard this.
True.
At least on the film TV front. But yeah, so like I also with some of the things that I do either like for work or like doing stuff around my house, when I choose to watch something, I want to focus on it as paying respect as I should. But sometimes I am a person who likes like not like I like noise, but I always grew up with like radio or or something on. And I also like half watching things while I'm like folding laundry on a couch or like doing so like I have half watch shows which are like things that I've seen or have just like used to be on TV or whatever, but actively watch it. Like I'm like, I want to watch this to actually watch it. I don't always have time for. Because I want to give it my attention that it deserves. I'm not watching this yet, so I feel like it's kind of a cop-out. But I feel like I've mentioned this on the stream before. I have a based on a book club, which does books that are also TV shows or movies that have turned into TV shows or movies. Mm-hmm. And then we like watch and or read and or listen or do none of them and then just talk about it anyway because it's not that serious. But the current one that I'm like, oh my God, I'm so behind. We're meeting next week and we're doing All Quiet on the Western Front because there's a couple of older versions, the more recent version, and then there's the book. And it's like one of the like best war novels of all time. It's been like said that. And I was like, I don't think I respected this when I maybe read it in high school. So I'm behind, but that's a thing that's on the docket and I probably have to be watching this weekend. That's cheating because I'm not currently watching it, but I'll say that.
I watched that one and I enjoyed it. The recent one. I really thought like it was a well-made film and it was very compelling. And then like, I read a bunch of articles that were like, "This is Nazi propaganda. If you watch this, you're basically a Nazi, and don't enjoy it." And I was like, "Wow, I didn't really pull that from
like I didn't
the movie.
Get that at all.
It felt very, just like this is war and it sucks for everyone." Was sort of what I.
That's what I gathered from the book already.
The protagonists are Germans. They are,
war's not fun.
Yeah, but
the new one is done from a German perspective.
Isn't the book a German book? Like, isn't it always from a German perspective? I think the whole thing has always been from the German.
I've never read the book, so like I hadn't seen any others until the more recent one, and I was just surprised that they did from. And I was like, oh, cool! So it's a different perspective. Like, I believe
that it is. I haven't seen any of the movie. I haven't watched any of the movies.
I'm fairly certain that the book is originally a German book.
Okay. Yeah,
but it's not. There's nothing in it that's like. And also, let's kill the Romani. Like, there's no. It's not like. It's just.
Like
it's a lot
existing in war.
It's like it reminded me a lot of 1917. If you guys saw that.
Oh, I'm familiar. I did not watch that either. Again, I'm behind.
I heard that was phenomenal.
I've heard good things about that and many other things.
That was like the first movie that we saw on a date night after like stay at home.
Oh,
and
what a choice!
I would, you go see something epic if you're going to go see something. But
that's true. I mean, like if you're going to see that in a theater,
It was amazing. And then we had a
Noted.
really nice Italian dinner after. It was my birthday, I think.
Oh, memories. Actually, in January, not June.
January, not June. There you go.
To J
But
month.
yeah, that is my. I'm not actually watching it, but I'm supposed to be, and I'm behind. But what's on the docket? All Quiet on the Western Front.
All right. How about you, Berto? What you got going?
I am watching a surprising amount of things for someone who doesn't have time to watch things.
Balance, great. You're picking up the slack for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give a shout out to Wu-Tang and American Saga, which has 2 seasons in right now and is phenomenal. And like, don't watch it thinking that this is actually how everything went, but the performances are amazing.
Is it like the show Showtime, where they kind of just loosely base it on the Lakers, but it's like not exactly how any of that shit went down?
I mean, probably like 4 out of 8 Wu-Tang guys are like executive producers on the show, so it's kind of like this is how it went according to how we want you to think it went, right? But the acting is great. They got guys who can actually rap, and they're not just. It's not like they get to the music parts and they play the Wu-Tang track and everyone's lip syncing. Like they actually have these guys doing the material, and the actor who does the voice for Miles Morales, in Into the Spider-Verse movies is he is Raekwon, and he's amazing. Like, and he was also in The Get Down, which was a fantastic show about like early hip hop. So Wu-Tang and American Saga, I'm not actively watching it. I actually watched it and then did a rewatch because it's that good. But the active ones, I've been super into Apple TV lately. Apple TV's been having like a lot of great stuff.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, like I killed your T-Mobile sponsorship, but I'm gonna bring you Apple TV here. So, the Big Door Prize is amazing. It's got what's his name from the IT crowd.
Richard Ayoud?
No, the big Irish guy who's in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I can't remember that. He was in like Bridesmaids, and he was in Moon Boy and all that stuff. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. He was in the Cloverfield Paradox, which is also a really weird, fun movie. But it's got that guy. It's just a weird show about a small town that encounters a very odd object. There it is. There's my guy. That is a fantastic show. It's super fun and it's light, and you can just like watch it while you're doing the dishes and folding your laundry, which is how I watch most things. Speaking of beer, Platonic is excellent. It's one of the only things where Rose Byrne actually just gets to have an Australian accent. But it's Rose Byrne and
is it Zach? What the fuck is his name?
Not Zach. Seth
Rogen.
Rogen. Yes, not Joe Rogan and not Seth Green, but their baby, Seth Rogen.
Their Hollywood baby.
That's right. And it's about 2 adults who just have a really good friendship. But he's a brewmaster. That's his character in the show, and a lot of the plot revolves around his little bar, tap room, brewery, microbrewery that he runs with his friends. And that's where the whole thing of like brewing beer with Pop Rocks and Sour Patch Kids and nonsense sort of came to mind recently. So that is excellent. And then the one that I've been watching with Tanisa, with my wife, has been Silo, which I hope people get into.
Silo.
Because that show is a trip and a half. And like you get to the like season finale and you're like, oh my god, like it's
the season finale was something where I expected it to go one way, and then it just, oh no, that's going a different way, and I'm like, all right, great.
And then it went a different way, and then it went a whole other different way. Like it's gone a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, and having like Tim Robbins and Common and Rebecca Ferguson, who's fucking awesome in everything she's in. And even Rashida Jones, although she's only in it and for one episode, so spoiler alert there.
But yeah, no, like this is such a fun show, and then I'm forgetting the name, but there's the one where I'm bad at, I'm into my third beer, so now I can't remember anyone's name.
Describe them.
Marshmallow from How I Met Your Mother. Jason Segel. Jason Segel is a therapist who's like a total disaster.
And is
with
it
Harrison
with him and
Ford?
Ford? Shrinking.
Yeah, that show, Shrinking. That show is hilarious. Love that show. So Apple TV's killing it with these shows right now. Like, and also, I figured out Lord's killing.
I'm sorry.
But also, I hit on something. So I realized, like, with the writer's strike and everything, that like there's a whole thing about streaming and residuals and why things are getting canceled and removed and all that. But I also hit on another reason why good shows get canceled on streaming is because you watch the first episode with your partner, your significant other, and then you're not allowed to fucking watch it without them at all, ever.
And
For the
get
rest.
stagnated by it.
But then also you have a whole like life that happens. So you watch the first episode, you're not watching the second episode for like 6 to 8 weeks, right? And by the time you get to the end of everything that they've put out for that season, it's been like a year and a half, and they're like, no one's watching this. And you're like, I'm desperately trying to watch this, yet I can only watch it during the times when we are both folding laundry. And like that shit doesn't happen very often. Right?
That is a
like,
very real show categorization. I've definitely gone through the queue of been like, are you actually interested in this, or can I watch this without you? Like, which kind of show is this? It's very real.
My
pacing is very different.
Ability to wait on Battlestar Galactica, I almost didn't have this third kid. We were almost divorced. Like, that was it. Like, Yoshiko, Joy to the World, Santiago would not have existed if we had not been able to get over our Battlestar Galactica mismatch.
I would also like to say Kalis. I'm mispronouncing that, and I apologize. But Black Mirror, yes, that is a show that it will have you having existential crises about this thing. Although this most recent season, not so much. It's been more on the horror element, and I dig it. It's like Black Mirror. Yeah, so it's interesting because it's a slight shift from what they used to do, for the most part. But man, I Black Mirror is probably Kales,
like the
Kales,
kale.
like the letters.
Kales.
Okay. Thank you for
Kale.
clarifying.
That's great.
That.
Also,
Kales.
I love that you're also like giggling about it.
Yeah, and I apologize for not doing that right. So, but man, that show just awesome. Yeah, and yeah, it is going to literally make you think things. There are certain episodes that my wife and I have watched, and she was like, "That disturbed me for like 3 days." Like, it's.
I haven't actively watched that. I've sort of like someone else has watched, and I've like seen bits and pieces of episodes, but I haven't like sat down and chosen to watch it. But mostly because like I feel like it's gonna like really mess with me.
I'm gonna give you a clue. Do not watch the first episode first. The first episode of season 1. Let that one
like,
wait.
Skip it.
Wait.
Like
what?
watch it, but eventually.
Because that show, if you watch that episode, you're gonna walk in and go, "What the fuck are they doing with this?" And not in a good way.
Because also all of the episodes are kind of standalone episodes, right?
It's like the Twilight Zone. It's like
they're all like ideas of where it's like, this could be the future. This is where we could be headed, but not, but maybe. And like, the rethinking everything that Kale said put, I think, or something, where it's just like, I don't know if I can mentally. Is this what I want out of my entertainment right now? Respect to it existing, but also like, oh my god, it's a lot. It's a hard time sometimes. Gotta make choices.
Yeah. So yeah, I totally agree with that. So
noted. Never. I see. Never the first one in all caps. Got it.
Yeah.
Message heard.
Yeah. So all right, we're like 2.5 hours in. Usually we try to hold around 2. So, but Roberto, you never know. This could go. Exactly. We could do it. We could go for the Zach Rosenberg record, which is 3.5 hours, and I kind of don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that. We've gone on some long ones. You know, we're right at that 2 hour mark, 2.5 hours. Which also, I'm going to also give a plug in for Letterkenny and Shoresy, which are both really hilarious.
My wife loved Letterkenny. It's that dry Canadian humor thing.
And Shorzy is the spinoff.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are these also on Apple? Because that's your
No,
jam
they're
right
on
now?
Hulu.
Okay, another one that I don't have.
Yeah, Hulu
I've-
and then God,
That-
Reservation Dogs. There's so much good stuff out there right now.
There's a lot of good stuff to watch.
Good thing I have so much to catch up on since there
Yep.
are many a strike.
Yeah. So before we go, why don't we do a quick, Berto, why don't you give us a little bit more on kind of a retake on the 40 for 40 race? We have the link for the YouTube thing there at the bottom. People go and follow that, and literally, the more subscribers to that, the better. That way you can keep up with everything's going on. So, Berto, give us your.
Yeah, I love doing weird charity races. During the early days of COVID, I ran a marathon around my block for charity and raised money for our local food bank, among other charities that other people ran for with me. And so weird running things are my thing. And this one is the 40 for 40 race. So if you are over 40 years old and can propel yourself 40 yards in some manner, whether that be running or otherwise, please sign up and compete and join the stream. And let's raise some money for some charities. I think we gave to 8 different charities last year. And if you are not a runner and you just want to see some money go to charity and you want to participate, please find us again, Twitter, hashtag 40 for 40 race. Start checking us out and look at as the registrations come in and the bios go up. You can go to the blog post and pick a runner you want to sponsor or you want to pick to win and get your own charity thrown in there. We had so much fun last year. It was such a blast. And I hope that this year we could do even better, and try to do some good for the world while being goofballs, essentially.
The best.
Cool. Yep. So, like I said, just follow everything, and we'll get you more information as it comes. Like I said, we're going to do this September 10th is when we'll do the live show. But if it's something you want to do it live, great. If not, that's fine. You can record it and send it to us, and we'll play it. And it's lots of fun, folks. I can't explain just how goofy it was to be doing this, and I get to dress up like a ninny like that. So yeah.
It's true. And also, if you don't qualify and are not over 40, you can also still support and share and tell other people and donate and pledge to whichever runner has the silliest bio that you enjoy, even if you don't know any of them personally. So just have some fun with us, because why not?
Like Daniel's trying to do trebuchet people 40 yards.
Again, consensual, maybe sign some waivers. We are not responsible for how anyone chooses to propel themselves. Let me just say that. But join us for fun and hopefully few injuries.
Yeah. Be safe when you're doing this too.
Don't break the law. Don't make your goofy thing to run like 40 yards against traffic or something.
Yeah. Let's be fun and smart all at the same time.
Good, clean fun.
when I was a camp counselor, I'm telling the kids, we used to ask the kids at camp, is that safe fun? Is that safe fun? We want to have safe fun.
That's going to be our second hashtag. Hashtag 40 for 40 race. Hashtag is that safe fun?
Here's a problem for folks over 40. Safe fun has a different connotation than people who are like 20.
Okay, look, when I never mind. I'm not going to tell stories about what we did with camp counselors. Anyway.
And on that note,
we did have safe fun. I just say all of us camp counselors had safe fun. We made sure of that.
Everybody make good choices. So join us for the 40 for 40 race in a couple of months. It's going to be great. Join us for that stream. It's going to be great.
It's going to be the massage gun stream at some point.
I mean, bring back the fun jokes. Oh, probably. Yeah. I can plan. I do a lot of things, but I can plan for stuff. So let's chat. I like watching Marvel things ever since my adventure.
Yeah, Daniel will be good for giving you all the stuff to watch for that. So
This is true. I've been told that there's many things in preparation for movie release stuff.
yeah.
Which other people are way more on top of than I am. So
Yeah. So before we go, why don't we do a quick wrap up? Berto, why don't you talk about what you had, Berto, while you're chugging one down?
Yeah, I'm just throwing it down. I had the original Anchor Steam beer, which is a interesting thing because I was today years old when I realized that it is Anchor Steam beer and not Anchor Steam beer. I thought the brewery was Anchor Steam. Took me a while to figure that one out. And it was good. It was a delicious Anchor beer, apparently made of steam.
I am also today years old where I've never thought about it hard enough. And I was like, huh, you're correct.
And it was because I was reading articles about it and they were like, oh yeah, Anchor has made their traditional steam beer for blah, blah, blah years. And I was like, Also, I don't know if that's just a name. So maybe beer people of the world tell us, is that just a name or is steam beer a style? Do other people make steam beer? California common. Interesting. So just kind of like mid is what you're saying. Just very basic.
Common is a beer style, and there's various regions where they make it like there's a Kentucky common, I think a California common. It just depends on how it's made.
Interesting. So I did have that. It was wonderful, and it it's the beer of my childhood in many ways, which is I didn't drink it as a child, but
you wanted to. You wanted to.
I knew when I grew up
I would soon.
That's right. My mom did take me to Bison Brewery, which was a very small brewery in Berkeley when I was about 13 or 14. And she let me taste a little sip of stout. And apparently, I don't remember this because apparently I was just wasted at that point. No, but she goes, oh yeah, you said that, yeah, this is the kind of beer I'm going to drink when I'm older. So apparently I've always been
thoughtful about the future in beer drinking.
You're gonna be cool and drink beer. Apparently, that was what you thought about the future.
and I drink beer, so
you did it. You made it.
1 out of 2, not bad.
Looks like we made it.
And then I had the California lager, which was very crisp and delicious, and Kelly Green. So Kelly Green, another thing, leaving the Bay Area, coming up next year. And then the West Coast IPA, which was exactly the prototypical thing you want from a West Coast IPA.
Sweet. Lauren, how about you? I know you had a few.
I've had a few. I'm in the process of a few as well. So I'm gonna go. So secret. So I actually really like this one. Oh my gosh, flashy things. La Morena was a Mexican negra lager, and it was I feel like where I like to live with the lighter beers, where it's just like I don't want it to taste like I'll drink stuff, especially when it's super hot. You're just like tasty, light, whatever is great. But there's like enough of a flavor that it tastes like something and like something to hold on to, which I really enjoyed that one. I would definitely buy that one again. And then I also had this Ale Industries, which is a Kolsch, which is lighter but delicious, and God, I love this. I just want that on my walls. Super drinkable, like light in flavor, but it is something. It's not just like sad water beer. And then I also sneakily opened later, and I'm still working on an East Brothers Stout. That is usually much more along my usual darker beer tasty things, but none of these were like big heavy hitter barrel age, so it was a little bit of a lighter day, which was nice because I have not eaten dinner. But they were all great. I would drink them all again. They're all very drinkable. Different cross section of light, medium, dark beers. So don't make me choose.
Excellent. So for me, this is the Lagunitas Maximus, which was a grand IPA. That was probably my least favorite of them. It was big. It was 9%, which, for an IPA, that's pretty heavy. My next favorite was the Lemon Radler that I had, which was a NA from Athletic, which is called Ripe Pursuit. Interesting name. Very drinkable, especially on a warm day like we've had. And we've all been experiencing warm days because we have a freaking heat wave going throughout the entire country. So I'm going to tell you, if you want something that tastes a little bit like beer, and Radlers are just like shandies in that respect, super good, super drinkable. But my favorite was the Lakes and Rivers Grand Schwarzbier. So yeah, this was really impressively good. I really like Schwarzbiers, but to have it with where it's a little heavier, but was interesting. It didn't feel heavier. That's the thing. So yeah, that's what I had.
Solid.
So, all right, folks. So thanks for joining us for Brothers and Booze. We went a little bit longer than we normally do. Berto, thanks for coming on and giving us a little bit more lowdown in the 40 race. Lauren, thank you for co-hosting with me. I super appreciate it, and so does everybody else. And yeah, thanks everybody, and we will see you next week. I'm trying to remember. Oh, we have April Dove coming next week. So Lady of in a Black Brew Scene, which really looking forward to. That'll be great. So yeah, thanks everybody, and we will see you next week. Bye.